Chapter 456. In the hall, he saw a figure lying sideways on the ground. Beside him was a broken bowl with some unfinished noodles in it. The delicately dressed young lady at the side seemed to be scared out of her wits. "Granny, what happened to you, Granny? Granny, don't die." Li Zongjio turned around to take a look at the comical scene. The old lady was clearly a Yuan monarch elite, but it was really surprising that she would do such a thing. As for the young lady, he could also feel a surge of power sealed in her body. If it was released, it would definitely be a terrifying force. It might even be stronger than the old lady. However, at this moment, she was kneeling beside the old lady. She was shaking the old lady as she cried and complained. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Judging from her appearance, she seemed to have gone through many rehearsals. "Oh, my lord, please don't malign our shop. Our shop has always been well behaved and the noodles are clean. How could anyone die from eating them? Hurry up and get up, or I will report this to the authorities." Because of the old lady's actions, many people around them put down their chopsticks and looked over. The innkeeper's explanation made the old lady spit out a mouthful of blood on the ground. "Look, my granny is about to be poisoned to death. Please don't eat the food here. Granny, hang in there. When the authorities come, they will definitely uphold justice for you." It had to be said that the young lady at the side seemed to like acting more and was even more immersed in her role. She was crying like a pear blossom in the rain. When people saw her like this, they no longer had any doubts and started to whisper to each other. At the same time, they hurriedly spat out the food in their mouths. Seeing that the surrounding guests were about to go berserk, the innkeeper was also anxious. "Why are you still in a daze? Do you really want to see my granny die here? Hurry up and give us 500 gold coins and take us to the medical hall to see a doctor. If anything happens to my granny, I will ask my granny not to let you off even if she becomes a ghost." The young lady lifted her head and said. After hearing the girl's words, how could the innkeeper not know that she was clearly here to ask for money? Okay. I'll give it to you. You too, hurry up and send him to the medical center. Hurry up and carry him away. Be careful not to hurt him." The shopkeeper also admitted his defeat. This kind of thing didn't happen often, so he could consider it as spending money to avoid disaster. He took out 500 gold coins and handed it to the young girl. When the two waiters carried the old woman out, the old woman easily shook them off and landed on the ground. "I can walk on my own." The two of them took the money and disappeared from the street. "Hee, there's no need to be alarmed. Relax and enjoy your meal. Sorry for disturbing everyone. Every table will be given a stack of peanuts." Just like that, a stack of peanuts appeared on Li Zongjio's table. However, the actions of the two people just now really opened Li Zongjio's eyes. With their cultivation, they wouldn't have ended up in such a state no matter what they did. They actually used such a method to swindle money. They were really too talented. Nothing was too strange in this big world. Li Zongjio only paid a little attention to this strange pair of grandmother and granddaughter. After all, being able to seal such a huge force in the young girl's body was not a simple act in itself. There were still many secrets on these two people. However, as long as they didn't encounter Li Zongjio, there was basically no problem. Everyone minded their own business. Half an hour later, Li Zongjio also arrived at a VIP room under the guidance of the waiter. The auction this time was held in this VIP room. The hall area was not open to the public. When Li Zongjio walked in, he saw a figure in the private room with her back to him. From the back, he could see that she was quite beautiful. Li Zongjio was stunned for a moment. He turned around and said to the waiter beside him, "I don't need any special service. Let her go." On the spot, Li Zongjio thought that Zhao Jingxian had acted on his own initiative and arranged for a beauty to serve him in this private room. Many influential people also had this kind of hobby. It was as if they didn't have a beauty by their side when they went out, they wouldn't know how to eat. It's me. Qi Yanran naturally heard Li Zongjiu's words. She turned around and glared at Li Zongjiu. Then, she waved at the waiter beside her. There's nothing for you to do here. Li Zongjiu recognized Qi Yanran. He had a deep impression of her. She was Qi Shaohun's daughter. In the future tragedy of the Qi family, Qi Yanran must have a part to play in it. Or perhaps, Qi Yanran had already been devoured by the blood medicine bug without the appearance of Li Zongjiu. She simply couldn't witness the tragedy of the Qi family. What's the matter? When Li Zongjiu saw Qi Yanran, he knew why Zhao Jingxian invited him so eagerly. Obviously, it was Qi Yanran's idea. He didn't expect that such a thing would happen. He, the dignified Li Zongjiu, was actually tricked. I want to ask you for a favor. Qi Yanran bit her lips with her pure white teeth. She seemed a little embarrassed. However, since he was already here, there was no need to hide it. You mean the blood poison in your body? Li Zongjiu said with a smile. Why is the whole world giving me money? If you want me to treat your illness, it's not impossible. 10 billion purple yuan. Li Zongjiu said. No matter who came, the price would be 10 billion purple yuan. Except for Xue Yu, who gave him a discount and only asked for 1 billion purple yuan. Now that he thought about it, it was a bit of a loss. However, when it came to 10 billion, Li Zongjiu remembered that Shi Shu had also come to find him. If he couldn't gather 10 billion purple yuan, then Li Zongjiu wouldn't help him. 10 billion. Even Qi Yanran was shocked by Li Zongjiu's big mouth. It was simply an exorbitant demand. I'll be honest with you. If you don't have the money, then forget it. Li Zongjiu was also lying on the sofa, waiting for the auction to start. Okay, 10 billion purple yuan, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Qi Yanran also sat down. Although 10 billion purple yuan was not a small amount for Qi Yanran, she wouldn't be as embarrassed as Shi Shu. As long as Qi Yanran asked, she would definitely be able to take it out. After all, Qi Yanran's value was far more than 10 billion purple yuan. However, what made Qi Yanran disappointed was that she didn't expect that Li Zongjiu was just a money grubber. If a practitioner only practiced for money, then it would be difficult for him to achieve great success in his life. In the early stage of cultivation, he might be able to lead others by relying on his own talent. However, in the later stage of cultivation, it required extraordinary willpower and unyielding integrity. Otherwise, it would be easy to be damaged on the road. Chapter 457. In front of the cool breeze inn. The old woman and the young woman were both stopped. What? Invitation system? What invitation system? Why don't we have one? We have tickets. The woman in white showed the tickets in her hand. It clearly stated that it was the Zhao family's auction. These 2 tickets cost her 400 gold coins. She put on a big show with her mother-in-law to get the money, but the other party actually said that they couldn't go in. How could the woman in white take this lying down? I'm sorry, young lady. Your tickets are fake. Moreover, you're not on our invitation list. You can't go in. The ticket checker at the door said sincerely. Ever since the last person in charge of checking tickets neglected his duty and allowed a person to enter, he was directly brought to the Special Envoy Department for investigation. Until now, he still hadn't come out. No one knew what the situation was like, so now, it was the same 2 people who checked tickets here. They guarded the first checkpoint. What? It's fake. How can this be? I just bought it. Look, it's still warm. Moreover, I added 200 gold coins. The young woman suddenly screamed. The old woman at the side was also surprised when she saw this scene. That was 200 gold coins. You probably met a scalper. I'm sorry, you can't go in. The ticket checker was very polite and said very politely. However, how could the young woman accept such a situation? What? Scalper. I've been cheated. I'm going to kill him. The young lady was instantly flustered and exasperated. The money that she had painstakingly exchanged for with her acting skills was actually cheated away in the end. How could the anger in the young lady's heart be appeased? She wanted nothing more than to rush over and directly put the person on the ground and beat him up viciously. We've been cheated, even the old woman didn't expect this. There was actually such a powerful swindler in King's City who could even cheat her of her money. It was said that the tickets were very popular, so when the scalper bought them, he directly doubled the price and spent 400 gold coins. However, they didn't expect that he bought 2 fake tickets. This made the young woman and the old woman extremely angry. Then how much do you charge for the invitation tickets? The white-clothed girl asked. Right now, she was hoping that the invitation tickets would be cheaper. It would be best if they only cost 50 gold coins each. That way, the 2 of them would be able to enter. I'm sorry, we have an invitation system. That means, if we don't invite you, you can't go in. Also, we don't sell tickets. You. Forget it, miss, let's think of another way. The white-clothed girl was about to go berserk. What kind of people were they? How could they not let her in? What's so great about that? You just want money, right? Are you looking down on me? Just you wait, I'll immediately buy this broken building of yours and turn it into a toilet, the kind that doesn't charge any fees. The girl in white was directly dragged away by the old woman, and so were the 2 ticket inspectors. They looked at each other in dismay. It was the first time they had seen such a scene, but it was obvious that these 2 people rarely came to such a high-end place like the Cool Breeze Inn. If he wanted to buy the Cool Breeze gang, he would need at least 18 billion. You don't say, that little girl is quite cute, I think so too. The 2 of them chatted for a while and then continued to guard the entrance. The white-clothed girl was also dragged far away. What a damned liar. Damn it. All right, miss, don't take it to heart. It's just a small amount of money, the old woman quickly comforted her. Then what should we do now? We can't even enter this auction. The white-clothed girl was obviously discouraged. They had traveled such a long distance to find the lost item of their sect. But they didn't expect that in the end, they couldn't even enter this door. It was really infuriating. It doesn't matter, we don't have the money to auction anyway. When they come out later, we'll see who has the item and directly snatch it. The old woman couldn't help but say. Hearing her mother-in-law's words, the white-clothed girl was a little surprised. This was because in the morning, didn't her mother-in-law say that they couldn't snatch it because they weren't strong enough? You're not strong enough, but I'm strong enough. The old woman said very mischievously. This immediately made the white-clothed girl puff up in anger. She felt that the old woman was still trying to encourage her to cultivate better. Then let's find a place to sit down and see who has the item. In the Cool Breeze Inn. The long-awaited auction was finally about to begin. However, the auction this time was also extremely special. Everyone didn't show their faces, but they were bidding in the VIP seats. The highlight of this auction was naturally the stone tablet of the Compassionate Travel sect. But such a good opportunity couldn't be missed. First, a few appetizers were served. The items being auctioned were some yuan tools and some antiques that weren't worthy of their attention. Although everyone didn't show their faces, they could clearly sense a certain degree of hostility between them. This kind of bidding war was extremely exciting. And there were also various kinds of things happening in the private rooms. Zhao Jingxian was stabilizing everything in front of him backstage. Some small bosses also often had some fun here. However, Zhao Jingxian would ask his subordinates about the situation in one of the private rooms from time to time. If there were any problems, they had to report it immediately. Obviously, the appearance of the person in the private room was also very stressful for Zhao Jingxian. The security of this place was still in Elder Zhao Quan's charge. After the previous incident, the security of this place was targeted at a smaller group of people. Some of the service staff had even been carefully selected and made some records. But in reality, the success rate of an assassination like the previous one was very low. This was because Yilan Tian was protected by a Yuan King elite. In order to succeed, they had to be able to kill the Yuan King elite in an instant. Otherwise, Yilan Tian would have time to escape no matter how weak he was. As long as the guards of the joyous heavenly restaurant, which was Zhao Quan and the others, were alerted, it wouldn't be so easy for these bandits to assassinate Yilan Tian. Even if there was a slight movement, Zhao Quan would definitely be able to detect it. However, there wasn't any sound at the scene that day. By the time he discovered it, Yilan Tian was already dead. Therefore, Zhao Quan had been thinking about whether or not it was a Yuan King elite who had made the move. If that was the case, even if the Special Envoy Department found out the truth, it would be impossible for them to succeed. Chapter 458. Qi Yanran did not leave either. She had been staying in the box with Li Zongjiu all this time. Obviously, in addition to looking for Li Zongjiu, she was also very interested in the stone tablet from the Compassionate Travel sect. Finally, after a series of appetizers, the stone tablet from the Compassionate Travel sect was finally brought up. Although everyone could not see each other, they could clearly feel that the atmosphere at the scene had gradually become intense. I think that everyone should have some understanding of the item that is being auctioned now. This stone tablet is a stone tablet that a top tomb raiding group found in some remains some time ago. After a professional appraisal by our Zhao clan, this stone tablet has been confirmed to be a grade 5 pill from the ancient alchemist sect, the Compassionate Travel sect. However, the inscriptions on it are complicated. It will require quite a lot of time to translate them. If everyone is interested, you can bid for this stone tablet and bring it back to study it properly. In addition, although the specific content of the stone tablet has not been translated for the time being, it can be confirmed that this stone tablet was placed in the inner sect of the Compassionate Travel sect. Just by standing in the courtyard, it can increase the primordial qi within a radius of 500 meters. It can increase one's qi and spirit, as well as improve one's eyesight and heart. The auctioneer said. Simply put, if one bought this stone tablet and took it back, even if one did not know a single word, just by placing it in the courtyard, it could achieve the effect of prolonging one's lifespan. There were many benefits. This stone tablet is the inner sect mental cultivation method of the Compassionate Travel sect, one of the 12 Ferrying Heart Sutras. Qi Yanran said faintly. With just a glance, Qi Yanran knew what this thing was. Li Zongjiu did not have a deep understanding of it, but he had heard of the Ferrying Heart Sutra. Ferrying Heart Sutra. Compassionate Arc of Salvation. Li Zongjiu suddenly understood. It turned out to be this thing. Although this thing was not very useful to Li Zongjiu, he was also interested in studying the legendary Compassionate Arc of Salvation. You know. Qi Yanran looked at Li Zongjiu and was obviously very surprised. Qi Yanran had only found some information about this stone tablet from some sealed ancient materials in the Qi family's collection. After seeing it now, she could only confirm it. Indeed, the mental cultivation method described by the Compassionate Voyage sect was called the Compassionate Voyage Salvation Technique. If he cultivated it to the great accomplishment stage, he would be able to ferry 10,000 souls with a wave of his hand. As for what kind of realm it was, only those who had practiced this cultivation method would know. If one were to rely on their imagination, it would be difficult to imagine the might of this Yuan cultivation method. The 12 Ferrymen Heart Sutra was one of the cultivation segments. As for which passage was engraved on the stone tablet, he would have to bring it back and study it carefully before he could find out. I know a little. Li Zongjiu said calmly. His understanding of the Compassionate Travel sect was only based on some investigations in his previous life. Qi Yanran did not continue to ask. Li Zongjiu seemed to be even colder than her. He was really a strange guy. However, seeing that Li Zongjiu could help her treat the blood poison in her body, she would stay with him for the time being. In fact, Qi Yanran did not need to continue to stay here, but Qi Yanran was interested in Li Zongjiu and wanted to see what kind of person Li Zongjiu was. The starting price of this inner sect stone tablet of the Compassionate Voyage sect is 50 million purple yuan. Each bid must not be lower than 1 million purple yuan. Just the starting price was directly raised to 50 million purple yuan. If it was increased tenfold, it would be at least 500 million purple yuan. This could be said to be the biggest highlight so far. Even if it was a 5th grade pill, the starting price would definitely not reach 50 million purple yuan. It seemed that the Zhao family wanted to take advantage of this time to make a big profit. No wonder they were so anxious to hold the second round. This kind of thing was so precious. If it was in their hands, it was inevitable that they would make mistakes. After a moment of silence, the scene directly entered the stage of crazy bidding. 51 million. 52 million, the bidding rose and fell. Of course, it was in the form of lights, and the host stood on the stage and kept bidding. Listening to the price rising bit by bit, Li Zongjiu and Qi Yanran sat steadily in the box. The price had risen to 100 million, but it would not stay at this level for long. 500 million. A distinguished guest bid 500 million. Is there a higher price? The host suddenly became excited, and directly jumped from 100 million to 500 million. The appearance of such a situation naturally caused the host to become excited. This directly caused the price to jump. It could directly filter out a group of people who didn't have enough strength. Those who wanted this item but didn't have enough money would naturally keep bidding. But now, the price of 500 million purple yuan was already enough to make many people shrink back. 500 million going once, 500 million going twice, 510 million, a distinguished guest bid 510 million. Is there a higher price? This was a tentative bid. Qi Yanran also made a bid under such circumstances, 600 million. Qi Yanran directly raised the price to 600 million. Compared to Li Zongjiu's asking price of 10 billion purple yuan, 600 million purple yuan was just a drop in the ocean. These tycoons and families in Royal City were actually rich to this extent. It should be known that in Luoxia City, the Li family's income from selling elixirs in a year, and after deducting the final expenses, it was considered a relatively successful year if they could store 2 million gold yuan. However, 2 million gold yuan was only equivalent to 20,000 purple yuan. Just the random things auctioned in today's auction were enough for the entire Li family to work hard for hundreds of years. Fortunately, the Li family was now different from before. With Li Zongjiu at the front, they would definitely be able to break out of the shallows. Qi Yanran raised the price to 600 million, but this price was still relatively dangerous, and it was soon surpassed directly. After Qi Yanran made another bid, she did not continue to bid, but the rest of the people were extremely fierce, and it seemed that there were 3 families constantly competing. The price had reached 800 million. Qingyuan Villa bids 1 billion. Friends, please give me some face. Just when Li Zongjiu was about to fall asleep, he suddenly heard such a voice coming from outside the box. There were also people who publicly showed their identity, but the premise was that their identity could not harm the interests of their auction. Qingyuan Villa. Li Zongjiu's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 459. Since he had publicly revealed his identity, he must be confident. At the same time, Mr. Hu of Qingyuan Villa was very tactful. He raised the price to 1 billion, which was equivalent to not harming the interests of the auction house. He just shortened the process. If he had revealed his identity at the beginning of the bid of 50 million, it would have been a threat to others. After all, he wanted to buy this good thing at a low price. That would be unfair to other competitors. It was also an extremely unfair thing, and from the perspective of the auction house, it was also an extremely heavy loss. Therefore, this kind of public disclosure of identity was generally prohibited. However, the other party had already said it, and his background was not small. Presumably, many people would have their own plans. However, The price had soared to 1 billion, which was enough for the auction house. When the others saw the price, it was difficult to raise it much. There was no need to compete for this last bit of price. Not only did they pay, but they also offended a giant like Qingyuan Villa. Mr. Hu. The identity of the person who came is not simple. He is one of the 10 mountain guardians of Qingyuan Villa, Flying Bat Hu Tianshao. Qi Yanran said indifferently. The mountain guardian had directly appeared in Monarch City. Could it be that there was something important in Qingyuan Villa? Just when Qi Yanran was hesitating. Li Zongjiu, on the other hand, was extremely excited as he pushed the price up. 1 billion and 5 million. When the host saw the price light up, he was somewhat surprised and doubtful. Could it be that there was someone who dared to be the enemy of Qingyuan Villa? Moreover, the price increase was not very high. It was just a base price increase of 5 million purple yuan. Basically, at this time, in order to show respect, most people would increase the price to the range of 10 million purple yuan. If it was only 5 million, it would be looking down on others. When Qi Yanran saw that the light in her room was on, she immediately realized who did it. You. What did you do? Qi Yanran looked at Li Zongjiu and was extremely shocked. This was almost asking for trouble. If he increased the price by 5 million purple yuan, it was very likely that he would offend Qingyuan Villa. Even her Qi family did not dare to compete with Qingyuan Villa. The other party's background was not simple. Moreover, the one who came this time was the protector of Qingyuan Villa. A Yuan King level elite. Name your price. That Qingyuan Villa's Hu Tianshao has already revealed his identity, yet you still went to provoke them. Do you want to die? Qi Yanran was obviously very nervous. The other party had already spoken clearly, but now he was still bidding here. Wasn't that slapping the other party's face? This was clearly a sign of wanting to become enemies with Qingyuan Villa. Yeah, I'm targeting Qingyuan Villa. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Do I need a reason to target you? Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Qi Yanran instantly recalled some of Li Zongjiu's targeted actions and some of the rumors she had heard. She had even heard about it later. Qingyuan Villa's Meng Yu had been killed by a Yuan beast on his way back. This was too much of a coincidence. There would not be any ferocious Yuan beasts within a 10-mile radius of Sacred Flame Royal City. The various legions were all trying their best to clear the surrounding obstacles. Therefore, someone had to be secretly involved. Seeing Li Zongjiu's attitude, Qi Yanran already had some guesses in her heart. In another private room. The black-robed Hu Tianxiao's face darkened when he saw that there was still someone who dared to raise the price after he revealed his identity. However, even though his face was gloomy, he still looked like he was smiling. It was a chilling sight to behold. Interesting. You actually dare to make an enemy out of me, Hu Tianxiao. Let me see what you're capable of. Hu Tianxiao had come this time with an important task. No matter what, Meng Yu was a member of the Qingyuan manor, but now that he was dead outside, Hu Tianxiao naturally had to come here to check and bring the corpse back. However, Hu Tianxiao was an experienced man, so he immediately knew that Meng Yu was killed by someone. As for the decapitation, it was only the final fatal move. Even after the person had died, this move was used to cover up the traces. Before that, everything was fake. The simplest conclusion was that the storage ring was gone. Could it be that the Yuan beast had taken the storage ring with its mouth? Other than investigating the cause of Meng Yu's death and finding the culprit behind the scenes, Hu Tianxiao had another purpose. This time, Hu Tianxiao came for another purpose, which was the compassionate travel sect's stone tablet in front of him. Qingyuan Villa had a vast collection of martial arts in the world. They were rather interested in this object that was about to be lost. When he heard that this object had appeared, Hu Tianxiao naturally rushed over to bid for it. Hu Tianxiao didn't expect that in this small auction, there would be people who couldn't be suppressed by his name. This made Hu Tianxiao interested. Ever since he entered Qingyuan Villa, almost no one dared to provoke him. Anyone who saw him would have to bow their head and call him protector. The flying bat's reputation seemed to be unparalleled at this moment. Since that was the case, the flying bat had to regain his reputation. Go and find out who dares to go against me. Anyone who goes against me is an enemy of Qingyuan Villa. Hu Tianshao said to the people behind him. Immediately, the people behind him walked out and found the people of the Zhao family. Absolute secrecy was impossible. In the face of power and strength, everyone had to compromise. The so-called rules were in fact just a joke set by the rules of the game. As long as you had enough strength, you could ignore these things. Continue to raise the bid. 1 billion. Yes, master. This time, Hu Tianshao did not come alone. He also brought 3 apostles with him. These apostles were not directly accepted as disciples, but they had absolute faith in him. Therefore, he made them apostles. Qi Yanran looked at Li Zongjiu's actions. Every time, Li Zongjiu would only raise the price by 5 million. This was because the lowest price was only 5 million. Otherwise, he would probably do anything. The price of this stone tablet had already been raised to 1.8 billion. Even Hu Tianshao was a little impatient. What did these people want? Were they here specifically for him? In fact, Li Zongjiu was here for them. If it was someone else, Li Zongjiu would have just given up. However, since it was someone from Qingyuan Villa who had bumped into him, he naturally would not let it go so easily. Publicly revealing his identity meant that he was confident. At the same time, Qingyuan Villa's people were very tactful. They raised the price to 1 billion, which was equivalent to not hurting the interests of the auction house. They just shortened the process. If he had revealed his identity at the beginning when he raised the bid of 50 million, it would have been a threat to others. After all, he wanted to buy this good thing at a low price. That would be unfair to the other competitors. It was also an extremely unfair thing, and from the perspective of the auction house, it was also an extremely heavy loss. Therefore, publicly revealing one's identity was generally forbidden. However, the other party had already said it, and his background was not small. Presumably, many people would have their own plans. However, now that the price had soared to 1 billion, it was enough for the auction house. When the others saw the price, it was difficult for them to raise it much. There was no need to compete for this last bit of price. Not only did they pay, but they also offended a giant like Qingyuan Villa. Hu Tianshao. His identity is not simple. He is one of the 10 mountain guardians of Qingyuan Villa, Flying Bat, Hu Tianshao. Qi Yanran said lightly. The mountain guardian had directly appeared in King City. Could it be that there was something important in Qingyuan Villa? Just when Qi Yanran was hesitating. Li Zongjiu, on the other hand, was extremely excited as he pushed the price up. 1.05 billion. When the host saw the price lit up, he was a little surprised and doubtful. Could it be that there was someone who dared to be an enemy of Qingyuan Villa? Moreover, the price increase was not very high. It was just a base price increase of 5 million purple yuan. Basically, at this point, in order to show respect, most people would increase the price to the range of 10 million. If they only increased the price by 5 million, it would be looking down on them. Qi Yanran saw that the light in her room was still on and immediately realized who did it. You. What did you do? Qi Yanran looked at Li Zongjiu and was extremely shocked. This was practically asking for trouble. If he increased the price by 5 million purple yuan, it was very likely that he would offend Qingyuan Villa. Even her Qi family did not dare to compete with Qingyuan Villa. The other party's background was not simple. Moreover, the person who came this time was the mountain guardian of Qingyuan Villa. He was a Yuan King level powerhouse. Make a bid. Qingyuan Villa's Hu Tianshao has already made his identity clear. How dare you provoke him? Do you want to die? Qi Yanran was obviously extremely nervous. The other party had already made himself clear, but he still made a bid. Wasn't this a slap to the other party's face? This was clearly a sign that he was going to be an enemy of Qingyuan Villa. Yes, I am going against Qingyuan Villa, Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Do I need a reason to be against you? Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Qi Yanran instantly recalled some of Li Zongjiu's targeted actions during the exchange competition, as well as some rumors she had heard. She even heard about it later. Qingyuan Villa's Meng Yu was killed by a meta beast on his way back. This was too much of a coincidence. There would not be any ferocious meta beasts within a 10-mile radius of Sacred Flame Royal City. The various legions were doing their best to clear the surrounding obstacles. Therefore, someone must have secretly made a move. Chapter 460. In a tea house opposite the Cool Breeze Inn. An old woman and a young girl were sitting by the window, looking in the direction of the Cool Breeze Inn. They were really unlucky this time. They didn't expect the outside world to be so sinister. They even dared to cheat them of such a huge amount of money. It was really a blow to the young girl and the old woman. The two of them rarely went down the mountain. If it wasn't for an important matter, they wouldn't come out of the mountain at all. The old woman had gone out of the mountain several times, so she had some understanding of these matters. She could easily deal with it. She also knew some of the ways, but she didn't know that such a thing would happen. Granny, how much do you think our sex stone tablet can be sold for? The old woman's eyes flashed with a trace of light. Although discussing such matters seemed to be somewhat disrespectful to the sect's sacred object, they only discussed it a little. It didn't get in the way. Who didn't have a gossipy heart? Well, if you ask me, it should be sold for at least 5 million gold coins. Is 5 million gold coins a lot? For such a large number, the young girl had no specific idea. However, since her mother-in-law said it, it was definitely not much different. This was because her mother-in-law was so powerful. Naturally, she could make very accurate guesses about these things. Yes, of course it's a lot. Ordinary people can't spend it all in their lifetime. It would be great if we could also have 5 million gold coins. The young girl's eyes had a trace of longing, while the old woman stroked the back of her head. Don't worry, when our sect rises, we won't have to worry about 5 million gold coins. The whole world will be ours. The old woman said excitedly, even attracting the attention of many people around. The two of them quickly made a gesture to keep quiet. They continued to discuss in low voices. Granny, when our sect rises, I also want to open a tea house. The young girl was almost lying on the table as she whispered her wish. In the Cool Breeze Inn. The competition seemed to have reached a stalemate. Hu Tianxiao stopped when one of them jumped to 2 billion. Very quickly, the door opened and the person who had gone out walked back in. He cupped his hands towards Hu Tianxiao and said, Teacher, I've investigated it. It's a disciple of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor called Li Zongjiu. He's competing with the Qi family's eldest daughter, Qi Yanran. They're both constantly increasing the price. Li Zongjiu. Qi Yanran. Hee, since you found out who it is, then just wait for your death. Hu Tianxiao's eyes suddenly revealed a cold murderous intent. Heavenly Star Medicine Manor and Qi clan were nothing in his eyes. None of them could stop the manor from moving forward. Qingyuan Manor would completely destroy all the obstructing forces that stood in their way. But on the surface, I, Hu Tianxiao, cannot lose. 2.5 billion. Hu Tianxiao said. He immediately raised the price by 500 million more than before. That was 2.5 billion purple yuan after all. To any family, this was definitely a huge sum of money. However, Hu Tianxiao had raised the price to such an extent so easily. Just the handling fee alone could reach about 300 million purple yuan. Of course, this time, the Zhao clan naturally wouldn't dare to charge a commission fee. They had to at least give the other party some face. If they offended the other party for such a small amount of money and made the other party unhappy, it was naturally not worth it. Therefore, the Zhao family would directly waive the handling fee. 2.5 billion. 5 billion. Li Zongjiu raised the price without hesitation. It was as if 2.5 billion was nothing in the hands of Li Zongjiu. It should be known that the original value of this stone tablet was only about 800 million purple yuan. It was already very lucky to be able to raise it to 1 billion. Now that the price had soared to 2.5 billion, the old host was already somewhat numb. These people were like immortals fighting. Their casual moves were spectacular and extraordinary. In response, the old host was also very direct. He also wanted to see who would come out on top in the end. Li Zongjiu, you're playing with fire. That's enough. Qi Yanran finally could not bear it anymore. She turned around and looked at Li Zongjiu. Oh. What's wrong with that? Can't I spend money to buy things? Li Zongjiu looked at the emotional Qi Yanran and was somewhat puzzled. Why was this girl so distressed when he was spending money? He was not distressed at all. Indeed, he did not feel distressed. Just the cash in his hand alone exceeded 4 billion purple yuan. This was all withdrawn from the Great Joy Casino. In addition, there was also a lot of savings in the storage rings obtained from killing Yilantian, Mengyu, and the others. Li Zongjiu did not count the money in detail, but it was more than 1 billion purple yuan. It was more than enough to deal with a protector. Do you know who that flying bat is? This person is sinister and bloodthirsty. He once slaughtered an entire family for some trivial matters. His hands are stained with blood and he is unscrupulous and vengeful. He is definitely not someone you and I can provoke. He is backed by Qingyuan Villa and has cultivated his blood bat technique to the extreme. This person is ruthless and no one wants to be entangled with him. Qi Yanran was a little agitated. This was a matter of losing one's life if one was not careful. How could it be so simple? If it was because of money, Qi Yanran was willing to lend it to him even if he did not have it now. However, this was a matter of life and death. Naturally, she had to stop Li Zongjiu. Oh. Is this person so ruthless? This was the first time Li Zongjiu heard of this person. He did not expect this person to have such deeds in Jianghu. Not only did Li Zongjiu not have the slightest fear, but it seemed that he was somewhat interested. Qi Yanran could not wait to throw Li Zongjiu out. Oh no, at this moment, he may have already received our information. After this is over, we must leave immediately. Qi Yanran suddenly thought of something. Since the other party's character was like this, he would definitely not let them go easily. Now, he must have done a thorough investigation. For them, the confidentiality of the Zhao family existed in name only. If the other party was willing, it was possible that he would directly kill his way in. After all, the Zhao family was at this level. For ordinary people, the information was naturally strictly confidential. However, if a powerful person were to come and ask, they would definitely be able to obtain this information easily without any hindrance. When you're in a different position, the world you see is actually different. For you, the road ahead was difficult, but for others, it was smooth and unimpeded. What's the matter? Don't we also know who they are? Li Zongjiu did not care. At this moment, the other party also bid again. It could be seen that this person called Flying Bat was extremely prideful. 2.8 billion. Chapter 461. Looks like that guy doesn't have much money left. 2.8 billion, 0.5 million. Li Zongjiu didn't care about the other party's identity at all. This price war was already very outrageous. On the other side, Hu Tianshao had already crushed the cup in his hand. The coldness in his eyes was extremely crazy. Even his body was trembling with anger. On the surface, everything seemed normal. However, Hu Tianxiao's killing intent had already exploded. The entire room was filled with a terrifying aura. The three apostles under him didn't dare to speak. If they said anything wrong at this moment, it would anger their teacher. However, the three of them also knew that today's person would enjoy the cruelest and most exciting treatment from their teacher. Backstage, at the beginning, Zhao Jingshuan's face was full of pride. At least until now, everything had developed in an orderly manner. Everything was normal, and there were no accidents. Everyone believed in love and was a harmonious family. Although there was a sense of tension in the air, it was quickly suppressed. After all, these were common occurrences, so there was no need to pay too much attention to it. However, when the last item appeared, and when the flying bat from Qingyuan Villa announced its name, everything seemed to have gone out of control. The person who competed with the flying bat. Without a doubt, it could even be said that there was no suspense. It was directly won by Li Zongjiu. When he knew that Li Zongjiu was competing with Hu Tianxiao, Zhao Jingshuan's heart was already faintly uneasy. Sure enough, just now, Hu Tianxiao's men also came to inquire about the person who made the bid. Under pressure, they also revealed Li Zongjiu and Qi Yanran's information. This guy. I knew it, Zhao Jingshuan's body seemed to be trembling a little. It could be said that he was helpless against Li Zongjiu's behavior. He thought that Qi Yanran was also in the private room and could more or less persuade him. Li Zongjiu was more stupid and didn't know who the other party was. How could Qi Yanran not know? However, Qi Yanran did not seem to have any influence. She still allowed Li Zongjiu to run amok. 8 billion. 8 billion. Holy shit. Just as Zhao Jingxian was praying in his heart, Li Zongjiu would not raise the price any further. Perhaps he could still save Li Zongjiu's life if he made up for it a little. However, the auctioneer's sudden bid made Zhao Jingshuan's heart plummet to the bottom of the abyss. I'm afraid it's over. Jingxian, your friend is very fierce. Elder Zhao Quan found Zhao Jingxian. However, the expression on his face was definitely not one of happiness. It was as if he was saying, Zhao Jingshuan's friend is really amazing. He's actually able to make an enemy out of Qingyuan Villa. Now, it would be hard for Li Zongjiu not to become famous. Maybe they know each other. Zhao Jingxian was also sweating profusely. 3 billion. 3 billion going once, 3 billion going twice. 3 billion, deal. The host suddenly said. When the hammer in his hand came down, he suddenly felt that he was about to collapse. This kind of price tug-of-war was a great test for the host. If he couldn't bear it, he would probably die on the stage. Your temper is really more explosive than your father's. Li Zongjiu looked at Qi Yanran in front of him. Originally, Li Zongjiu naturally wanted to raise the price. However, Qi Yanran directly destroyed the bidding device. She put away the sword in her hand. I'm not helping you, nor am I stopping you. I'm in the same room as you, so I must have been hated by the flying bat. I'm just trying to get myself out of trouble, Qi Yanran said faintly. Don't worry, I won't let him see tomorrow's sun. Li Zongjiu also said very calmly. Increasing the price by 30 times could be considered a big loss for Qingyuan Villa. At the same time, Li Zongjiu was also very interested in this thing. It was absolutely impossible for him to let Qingyuan Villa and the others leave directly. What else do you want to do? Don't act recklessly. I know you have a grudge against Qingyuan Villa, but it's absolutely not the time to be impulsive. Qi Yanran, who had a calm and steady personality, became emotional several times in a row tonight. However, after saying that, she felt that as an outsider, she seemed to be overly concerned. For her, Li Zongjiu was just an insignificant outsider. If there was any relationship, it would be that he had beaten her up on the Herb Mountain before and then saved her life. You. Don't misunderstand. You saved me. I just don't want to see you die so early. Now, you should quietly leave here with me. That flying bat won't stay in this city for long. As long as it can't find us, it will naturally be fine. Qi Yanran said. Things had come to this point, so they could only rely on luck. In the future, if they stayed a little further away and avoided this person, and then found a suitable time to apologize, this matter would certainly be resolved. It was not a big deal, but if it was not handled properly, it would turn into a disaster. Qi Yanran had already helped Li Zongjiu think of a way out. However, looking at Li Zongjiu's appearance, it seemed that he did not need it. I have an appointment with someone tomorrow. You can come to me the day after tomorrow when you have the money ready. Li Zongjiu said to Qi Yanran. This was Qi Yanran's concern from the bottom of her heart. Of course, Li Zongjiu could feel it. This was also based on the fact that she did not know Li Zongjiu's strength, so such a situation would occur. Immediately, Li Zongjiu took the lead and walked out. Qi Yanran wanted to chase after him and stop Li Zongjiu. Although Qi Yanran did not know why she was so nervous and anxious, Qi Yanran just thought that she wanted to repay Li Zongjiu for saving her life. However, when Qi Yanran approached the door, she immediately felt a powerful feedback, like endless cotton. No matter how Qi Yanran walked, there was no way to get close to the door. This is a formation. Li Zongjiu, you dare to use a formation on me. Qi Yanran suddenly stomped her feet in anger. If his Yuan spirit was still at its peak, he would be able to break this formation. However, at this moment, there was no way to use the power of her original spirit. Thus, there was nothing he could do about the Yuan rune formation in front of him. Li Zongjiu had steeled his heart to deal with those people. What kind of grudge did this bastard have with the Qingyuan villa? Judging from the last time when he targeted Mengyu, she should have guessed it long ago. You too, go and block the exit. Don't let that man and woman leave. Chapter 462. Elder, what should we do now? That person must have made a move. Zhao Jingxian could not help but ask. He looked at Zhao Quan with a hint of anxiety in his eyes. This matter was of great importance, so Zhao Quan must be the one to make the decision. Zhao Quan naturally knew what Zhao Jingxian wanted to do. Your friend reaped what he sowed. Our Zhao family cannot get involved in this matter. If your friend dies, it's only one person. But if it's our Zhao family, it's thousands of lives. Zhao Quan said in a deep voice. As a huge imperial clan, the Zhao clan had a large population. This was also the reason why the Zhao clan was able to take root in Monarch City and reach its current state. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been easy to take root in Monarch City. It wasn't easy to raise the entire Zhao family to such a level. If their future was ruined because of such an insignificant person, then the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Zhao Quan tried his best to persuade him. What we can do is to prevent any tragedies from happening in the Cool Breeze gang. However, once we leave the Cool Breeze gang, this matter will no longer be under our control. Zhao Jingxian suddenly understood as well. However, he believed that Zhao Quan was right. But he was the one who invited Li Zongjiu. Although Li Zongjiu was courting death, he could not turn a blind eye to it. Therefore, Zhao Jingxian easily found Li Zongjiu. Brother Li, the gate is not safe. Follow me this way. Quick. Zhao Jingxian hurried to Li Zongjiu and said. Seeing that Li Zongjiu was still swaggering out of the gate, Zhao Jingxian had to hand it to Li Zongjiu. Could he not be more careful? If he walked out, he would be immediately put on a hood, thrown into a carriage, and taken away. The next day, his corpse might be directly thrown into the market, or he might be directly made into human meat buns. Anyway, no one would know. How could anyone who offended Hu Tianshao have a good ending? Look at Li Zongjiu. Could it be that he wanted to go out and have a midnight snack before strolling back slowly? It was really convincing. Why? Is it because of Hu Tianshao? Li Zongjiu could not help but ask. He was the great evil lord. Could it be that he would leave without a proper exit because of this little thing? This was simply the biggest joke. If someone wanted to escape through the window or even through the back door, it had to be him, Hu Tianxiao. Flying bat? He would turn him into a braised bat in a while. My lord, you know who Hu Tianxiao is, yet you still went to provoke him. Do you think you have too many heads on your neck? Xiao Jingxian said. Could it be that Li Zong was really here to exterminate him? Did they purposely come to his territory to provoke some strong enemies and exterminate his Xiao family? Don't worry. Once you walk out of this door, it has nothing to do with your Xiao family. Don't worry. He saw Li Zongjiu suddenly appear behind him. What? Crack. Li Zongjiu directly grabbed his opponent's head with both hands and gently twisted it. His entire neck was twisted off and his head immediately rolled to the ground like a rubber ball, making a thud. Bang! The rest of the corpse also fell to the ground. Li Zongjiu waved his hand. He looked at the other person who had yet to react. It's your turn. Li Zongjiu said. Chapter 463. This person's strength was almost the same as his junior brother's. Seeing that even his junior brother had been instantly killed by the other party, he naturally began to worry. This person's strength was above his, and it was best for him to flee as soon as possible. Take this. The man suddenly threw out a few poisonous darts, which flew towards Li Zongjiu. Then, without hesitation, he turned around and rushed towards Hu Tianxiao. This person's strength was too tyrannical, and he must leave quickly. Li Zongjiu seemed to have known that his opponent was going to escape. Facing the numerous darts that were flying towards him, he opened his mouth and blew at them. In an instant, the darts were all blown back. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The senior brother was shocked when he saw the dart fly back. He didn't expect Li Zongjiu to be able to hit the dart back. Immediately, he waved the iron rod in his hand and deflected the darts. If he allowed the darts to attack him, it was very likely that they would directly penetrate his body. If that happened, he would end up being poisoned to death by his own darts. And it was at this moment that his figure stopped and was obstructed that he suddenly realized something. He saw Li Zongjiu's figure appear beside him. Fuck! When the man saw Li Zongjiu, who was close at hand, he suddenly shouted in fear. He had completely lost his fighting spirit. Usually, these two people relied on their teacher's name to flaunt their prowess everywhere. They had always wanted to be apprenticed to Hu Tianxiao, but because of their lack of strength and talent, they were not accepted as disciples by Hu Tianxiao. Therefore, his strength was not very strong. It was just that his previous opponents were just some ordinary people. In the face of Hu Tianxiao's prestige, he had long been scared out of his wits. Now, it was useless against Li Zongjiu. When Li Zongjiu attacked, he directly grabbed his opponent's head with both hands. How could this scene be so familiar? In the next second, Li Zongjiu would twist his head off. If that were the case, he would be done for. He couldn't believe how terrifying the scene would be when his head rolled on the ground. No, 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 the shadow of death shrouded him, and in a panic, he quickly grabbed Li Zongjiu's hand. However, he was just grabbing randomly and did not make any movements. Before this, he only saw Li Zongjiu's cold gaze. At this moment, it was as if the Grim Reaper was looking at him. No, crack! Li Zongjiu directly wrung the head off his neck. When the head rolled on the ground, it was still spinning on the spot. After dealing with these two people, Li Zongjiu directly walked into the distance. With his mental strength, he sensed that Hu Tianxiao had already left the main city and arrived at the outskirts. Sacred Flame Royal City was huge, and some of the places were extremely desolate. Hu Tianxiao did not like crowded places and preferred to live with a bunch of bats. Therefore, even when he was in Sacred Flame Royal City, he chose to live in a dark and damp mountain range. However, Before he could go up the mountain, he was already blocked by two figures. Swoosh swoosh. The old woman and the young girl descended from the sky, blocking Hu Tianxiao's path. With their sex cultivation method, they were naturally able to sense the person who possessed their sex items. Hence, it was very easy for them to distinguish. Hee hee, there are really a lot of ignorant people today. One after another. Hu Tianxiao suddenly laughed sinisterly. As a guardian of Qing Yuan Villa, he was very famous in the underworld. However, he only met people who did not care about his reputation. Now, there were people who appeared and even tried to rob him halfway. How bold! In fact, the old lady and the young girl had never heard of Hu Tianxiao's name. They rarely left their own sets, so how could they have heard of his name? Therefore, this was naturally not true. Put down the item that you are auctioning today and I will consider letting you go. The old lady took a step forward and the walking stick in her hand landed gently on the ground, making a crisp sound. Interesting. I haven't seen anyone who wants to let me, Hu Tianxiao, off the hook for a long time. Since you guys are so confident, I'll let you guys have a taste of my blood bat technique. Immediately, Hu Tianxiao let out a low roar. The yuan power within his body instantly erupted, releasing a terrifyingly sharp energy. The bloody evil qi formed a huge bat behind his back. When this bat appeared, a pair of intimidating eyes stared intently at the two people in front of him. A mere bat dares to be arrogant in front of me? The old lady sneered and gently tapped the walking stick in her hand. Immediately, a sharp aura condensed from the ground and turned into a long blade that rushed towards the bat. Boom! The blade aura was shattered before it could hit Hu Tianxiao. Go and catch that little girl for me. Don't hurt her. Her blood is extremely pure. I like it. Hu Tianxiao said to the apostle beside him. The girl nodded and a set of tiger spikes appeared on her wrist. She then rushed towards the white-clothed girl. You are courting death. The old lady dared to attack the young Mississippi. The young miss was the treasure of their sect. She couldn't bear any harm. However, the old lady was entangled by Hu Tianxiao. In an instant, the yuan spirit behind her rushed out and grabbed the old lady's shoulder. The blood wings flapped slightly and brought the old lady up to the sky. Boom! Grandma, be careful. The white-clothed girl saw that her grandma was caught and brought up to the sky and quickly said. How could these people be so fierce and even capture her grandma? However, the white-clothed girl wasn't worried about her grandma's condition. After all, her grandma's strength was at the top in the sect. Almost no elders dared to fight back. They all stood obediently on the spot and took a beating. You should worry about yourself first. When the black-clothed girl rushed over, the tiger spike in her hand was already thrusting out. In the dark night, there wasn't any light. Even the naked eye couldn't determine the length of the tiger spike. If she was careless, the tiger spike would definitely pierce through her body. Your weapon is really strange. The folding fan in the white-clothed young lady's hand lightly blocked the opponent's tiger spike to the side. Then, the white-clothed girl's eyes flickered. The moment she opened her folding fan, a blade of yuan spirit light swept towards the black-clothed girl. The black-clothed girl exclaimed. Before the light swept towards her, it already gave her an extremely terrifying feeling. She lowered her head and saw that there were a few small holes burned in her clothes. Chapter 464. What kind of move is this? The black-clothed woman kept retreating as the white light chased after her for dozens of meters, refusing to give up. This caused her to be extremely shocked. As her figure retreated, she continuously used her own yuan power to rush towards the white light. However, all of it was easily devoured. Oh, this move is called White Medicine Immortal Energy. The white-clothed girl replied in an extremely serious manner. Don't attack anymore. You're no match for me. The white-clothed girl said in an extremely sincere tone. If the black-clothed girl attacked again, the white-clothed girl would definitely not fight back. However, the black-clothed girl's strength seemed to be too weak. Therefore, the black-clothed girl could easily defeat the black-clothed girl. If that was the case, it would be very embarrassing. Shameless boasting. The black-clothed woman had never been humiliated like this. When she heard the white-clothed woman's words, she was naturally furious. Deadly flying bat sword. The black-clothed woman circulated her yuan power and immediately condensed a pitch-black yuan power sword around her. Then, one could clearly feel the terrifying killing intent condensed on the yuan power sword. When the sword was condensed, it immediately felt that there seemed to be the sound of terrifying bats flapping their wings in all directions. Swoosh! The power of the flying sword immediately rushed towards the white-clothed woman like a soul-reaping bell. The white-clothed woman's eyes flickered. She seemed to feel that the power of this move was not simple, but she did not panic. She continuously waved the folding fan in her hand, and suddenly, rays of light flashed out. Boom! Boom! These rays of light constantly blasted out. They swept towards the opponent. Finally, under the continuous bombardment, the yuan power sword in front of her was destroyed. What? Seeing that her move did not hurt the opponent at all, the black-clothed woman was shocked. Her face immediately revealed a look of shock. The strength of your move is not bad. There was a hint of admiration in the eyes of the young lady in white. However, in her eyes, this admiration was a form of humiliation. Today, I must kill you. The black-clothed woman's eyes flashed a trace of viciousness. You want to kill me? Then I have to kill you. Granny said that whoever wants to kill me, I must kill him. The white-clothed girl said seriously. In the beginning, it was just a fight. However, if you wanted to kill her, she would have no choice but to kill you. In an instant, the white-clothed girl's eyes became sharp. It was like a blade as thin as a cicada's wing. Schwa! The white-clothed girl lightly patted the folding fan in her hand. Suddenly, an ice blade shot out from the folding fan. When this ice snow blade pierced through, it seemed as if it had suddenly passed through the front. It didn't even cause the slightest ripple in this space. Not good. When the black-clothed woman saw this, she immediately wanted to escape. After all, the power of this attack had already exceeded the limit of what she could endure. However, the speed at which he flew was still half a beat slower. The light blade pierced through the woman in black's body. In an instant, the woman's eyes widened. The woman's body was split in half on the spot. How is this possible? The black-clothed woman's face was filled with shock. She didn't even dare to look down. When she saw that the lower half of her body was already far away from her, her feelings were indescribable. My body, this is impossible. My protective jade. Why is it ineffective? When the woman's consciousness completely disappeared. However, what she didn't know was that her body had been sealed in ice. A wave of cold frost had quietly spread to her body. There wasn't even a trace of blood on the ground. Li Zhongjiu's figure quickly swept across the sky. He came here to look for the stone tablet of the compassionate travel sect. However, when he flew in the sky, he also looked down at the scene below. Coincidentally, he met the eyes of the white-clothed girl. The white-clothed girl's eyes were pure and clear. He couldn't see any impurities in them. Li Zhongjiu felt as if he was looking at a clear spring. He could even see hundreds of meters below. It was this pure feeling. What the white-clothed girl saw was a pair of eyes that seemed to have gone through the vicissitudes of life. In those eyes, there was everything and nothing at the same time. There was pain that was as great as the world and also happiness that was as great as the sea. What kind of deep gaze was this? What kind of experience did the owner of this pair of eyes have in the past? In just the time it took to look at this pair of eyes, Li Zhongjiu's figure had already flown out and rushed towards the distance. The old woman and Hu Tianshao were engaged in a fierce battle. Hu Tianshao hadn't fought for a long time. After joining Qingyuan Villa, many things could be easily solved by just moving her mouth. She only needed to spread her name to solve the problem. However, she didn't expect to encounter such a situation in Royal City. She had been provoked time and time again. At the same time, the strength of this crazy woman in front of her was really impressive. Even Hu Tianshao couldn't hold on much longer. Could it be that people nowadays were so powerful? I won't bicker with you today. Leave your name if you have the guts. Hu Tianshao said in a deep voice. Even though he couldn't defeat the other party, it wouldn't be a problem for him to escape. In this world, if Hu Tianshao wanted to leave, there was no place he couldn't go. No one could stop him. I don't want to kill anyone. Hand over the item and I'll let you go. Hand it over. You crazy woman. Do you know how much I spent on this thing today? Hu Tianshao couldn't help but recall the fear he felt when he paid for it. It was a painful feeling. Although Hu Tianshao was a member of Qingyuan Villa, he still had to abide by the rules when he came here to auction things. After all the businesses were backed by the Commerce Alliance. If someone deliberately broke the rules, the Commerce Alliance would take action and teach the person a lesson. Otherwise, the world would be in chaos. As a member of the Commerce Alliance, they couldn't back down in the face of this. The Commerce Alliance was so powerful that even Qingyuan Villa was afraid of it. They didn't even dare to touch its red line. It seems like the money you paid is more valuable than your life. The old woman sighed helplessly. The old lady muttered to herself as she withdrew her yuan spirit. However, it was not difficult to find the other party. Previously, she had also left a mark on this person's body. As long as this fellow was still alive, she would definitely be able to find him. After escaping, Hu Tianshao only dared to descend after flying more than 10 miles away. She concealed her aura, not daring to leak the slightest bit. Ahem, damn it. If this old man had not been through hundreds of battles, I would have been suppressed by the other party's aura. Hu Tianshao said, still in a state of shock. With her speed, it was naturally easy to escape the other party's pursuit. Moreover, as long as she concealed her aura, no matter how powerful the other party was, she would not be able to find her. She draped a cloak over her body. With the cloak's effect, it could help Hu Tianshao conceal her aura better. After escaping for such a long distance, it would not be easy to find her. It was no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. This place was already out of the sacred flame royal city. However, it was also a place filled with forests. Just as Hu Tianshao was about to take a detour to leave this place and return to the city, she suddenly felt an aura appear behind her. Although the aura was extremely weak, Hu Tianshao could still feel it clearly. Who's there? Hu Tianshao immediately turned around and saw a figure under the shadow of a tree 20 meters away from her. Although she could not see clearly, it was indeed a figure. It seemed to be a young man. Don't worry. I only have one purpose for coming here, and that is to give you a gift. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Giving me a gift? Who are you? Are you from the same sect as that crazy woman? Hu Tianshao immediately became alert. Could it be that the people from this sect were so resourceful that they had already predicted that she would land here? It was almost impossible for them to have followed her all the way here. How could Hu Tianshao not know of his own speed? Just now, that crazy woman had directly chosen to give up. That meant that she knew how terrifying his speed was. Li Zongjiu did not say a word and directly threw the two heads out. Immediately, the two heads rolled on the ground. Hu Tianshao initially thought that it was some kind of hidden weapon. He wanted to leave immediately, but when he saw the things rolling on the ground, his eyes immediately widened. This was because the two heads belonged to the two apostles under him. You dare to kill my people? Hu Tianxiao was shocked at first. Then, he recalled that the two apostles were sent out to capture the two arrogant brats. He immediately realized who the person in front of him was. "You're Qi Yanran." "Bah, no, you're a man." "You're that, what's his name, what's his name?" "Li Zongjiu." Hu Tianxiao was immediately horrified. Then, a cruel smile appeared on his face. It was a horrifying and cruel smile, as if he wanted to vent his anger. Today, he finally found some entertainment. He suffered a lot in the hands of that crazy woman. Now, it seemed that the other apostle of his was also killed. These three were really quite useless. "It's me," Li Zongjiu said. "Do you think you can fight me head-on just because you killed two of my apostles? It's your misfortune to have met me today. Just now, I had a bellyful of anger when I fought with that crazy woman. Now, I'm going to vent my anger." Hu Tianxiao suddenly said in a cold voice. With a flying kick, he sent the two heads flying towards Li Zongjiu. Obviously, in his eyes, he did not care about the lives of his subordinates. Boom! Hu Tianxiao used Fierce Dragon crossing the river. His body directly crushed Li Zongjiu. The aura on his body was like a mountain crashing down. Swoosh! Li Zongjiu stretched out his hand, and a flying knife swept out like a transparent object. It quietly hid in the air. Chapter 466. Plop! Hu Tianxiao's body fell to the ground. Above his head, there was a flying knife that was directly inserted between his eyebrows. Almost all of it went in. Hu Tianxiao's body fell 5 meters in front of Li Zongjiu. If he was a little closer, he would have a chance to directly cut Li Zongjiu into pieces. But now, Li Zongjiu was still standing in the same place, safe and sound. However, he did not know when his head was directly hit by a knife. He looked at Li Zongjiu in a daze. "You and I have no enmity, but who asked you to be a member of Qingyuan Manor?" Li Zongjiu shook his head helplessly. If it was possible, he would rather not kill anyone in his life. However, some people did not learn from their mistakes, so he had to kill his way out. He had to kill them until they were afraid, until they became extinct. It was useless to be afraid. One day, they would forget the pain of the past. Therefore, he had to kill them all. This was the only way to ensure that they would never start over again. Then, Li Zongjiu took Hu Tianxiao's storage ring. With a bang, a stone tablet fell to the ground. When Li Zongjiu saw the stone tablet, he immediately felt the boundless aura from it. How powerful was the Compassionate Travel Sect in ancient times? Even if this stone was placed in the Compassionate Travel Sect, it would still be a treasure in the outside world after being nurtured by the aura of the experts in the sect, let alone a stone tablet like this. He directly put away the stone tablet. He did not know many words from ancient times, so it was useless to put this thing in front of him. It was like reading a heavenly book. He could only find a professional to translate it. After dealing with Hu Tianxiao, Li Zongjiu directly left. Whoosh! There was no need to go all out to kill someone. Life and death were usually decided in an instant. Not to mention Hu Tianxiao, even if the old woman who used the glaring guardian deity wanted to fight Li Zongjiu, she would still be unable to do so. To Li Zongjiu, killing the other party would only require a single breath of time. With the boundless ocean flying dagger in his hand, he was naturally successful in every endeavor. Li Zongjiu had already returned to his manor alone. On the other side, the white-clothed young lady and the old lady followed the fluctuation and found Hu Tianxiao's location. Not good, someone actually intercepted it. The old woman immediately went forward to check. He discovered that Hu Tianxiao didn't have many injuries on his body. There was only a cut on his head, and the cut was as thin as the line from earlier. What a sharp blade! What a decisive killing move! One move to kill. The old woman immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Judging from this point, she could tell how terrifying the strength of the person who attacked was. There are indeed many experts in the sacred flame royal city, the old woman said with a shudder. This really hit the old woman's heart. Moreover, he knew that even if he were to fight against this mysterious expert, it would not be easy for him to win. Hu Tianshao actually didn't even have time to escape in front of this person. What about our sect's stone tablet? The white-clothed young lady couldn't help but ask. It was taken away. It seems that it's not time for this stone tablet to return. In that case, there's no need to force it. We can't stay here for long. Let's go. The old woman said decisively. If that mysterious expert was still nearby, he could easily make the two of them stay. Therefore, the old woman had to take the young lady and leave this place first. She couldn't let the young lady's situation become dangerous. Cool breeze in. Elder Zhao Quan directly split the array in front of him with a palm. He saw Qi Yanran appear in the room. Young lady Qi, why are you trapped here? Elder Zhao Quan was slightly surprised after seeing this. He didn't expect Qi Yanran to be trapped here. They were already planning to clear the place, but they found that there was an abnormal fluctuation here. When they came to take a look, they found that there was a temporary Yuan rune array here. What about Li Zongjiu? Where is he? Qi Yanran didn't answer Zhao Quan's question. Instead, she asked directly. Young Master Li left the auction earlier. We don't know where he is now. Zhao Quan said with a little surprise. From the looks of it, this Li Zongjiu was the one who trapped the eldest daughter of the Qi family in this room. It was surprising. Where did Li Zongjiu get the courage to do this? Was he not afraid that the Qi family would find trouble with him? Most importantly, Qi Yanran was a famous beauty in the city. How many people would be willing to treat Qi Yanran like this? Hearing Zhao Quan's words, Qi Yanran didn't stay any longer and directly left the cool breeze in. Once he returned to the Qi family, he immediately mobilized the power of his family in an attempt to find Li Zongjiu. However, the latest information showed that Li Zongjiu was now in his own manor. After waiting bitterly for half an hour, the news came. Qi Yanran also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Li Zongjiu was fine. However, Qi Yanran thought that if Li Zongjiu was fine, then it naturally meant that something had happened to the others. Qi Yanran ordered her subordinates to continue to investigate. This night, the Qi family's intelligence agency was still operating. Two headless bodies in an alley not far from the cool breeze inn. According to the identification of the clothes, these two people are the apostles of the protector of Qingyuan Villa, Hu Tianshao. Qi Yanran also took a deep breath and gradually suppressed the shock in her heart. Li Zongjiu is really good. When she was with Li Zongjiu, although she felt that Li Zongjiu was fearless and even unscrupulous, she didn't expect that Li Zongjiu would be so daring. These 2 days, investigate carefully. See if there are any traces of meta beasts in Li Zongjiu's manor. Qi Yanran ordered. Qi Yanran was an extremely wise person. She was not used to being deceived by others. She liked to control her own power and grasp the truth. Meng Yu's death. Perhaps it was really related to Li Zongjiu. If Li Zongjiu and Qingyuan Villa had a grudge, Qi Yanran really didn't know what to do. You saved my life. If Qingyuan Villa has a grudge against you, I will also save your life. This was Qi Yanran's current thought. Chapter 467. On the surface, the Sacred Flame Royal City was extremely peaceful. However, some of the businesses that once belonged to the Yi family had unknowingly changed hands and the person in charge behind the scenes had changed. It could be said that there was a real change of dynasty. Li Zongjiu arrived at the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor early in the morning. First, he went to buy some medicinal ingredients. After all, these medicinal ingredients could be said to be of good quality and cheap. At the same time, he entered the Heavenly Flame House to refine pills. When Li Zongjiu arrived at the Heavenly Flame House, he saw many people gathered in front of the Heavenly Flame House. Could it be that some big shot has booked the entire place? When Li Zongjiu saw this situation, he immediately frowned. Young people nowadays could really curry favor with those in power and influence. They gave up on their cultivation and instead circled around these matters. It was as if they were dogs eagerly wagging their tails in front of their masters, hoping to be rewarded with a bone. Stop, who is it? Senior brother Guosi is refining pills in the Heavenly Flame House. No one is allowed to enter and disturb him. A freshman who looked like he was able to sneak into senior brother Guosi's team and become a lackey naturally felt a little smug in his heart. In fact, many people did not even take him seriously. At this moment, there were so many people gathered here to prevent anyone who did not have eyes from entering. Li Zongjiu had just reached the entrance when he was blocked by these people. This situation was different from the previous time. Previously, no one recognized Li Zongjiu. However, this time, many people immediately recognized Li Zongjiu. After all, he had shown brilliantly in the previous exchange competition and directly obtained the honor of being the champion. Although many of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor's students did not go to watch the competition, the Medicine Manor still made an announcement to the entire Medicine Manor when they returned. As a result, Li Zongjiu's reputation gradually spread in the Medicine Manor. Although Li Zongjiu did not appear many times, he always left a deep impression on everyone. Back then on the Elixir battle stage, he had directly killed that instructor. This was an extremely vile matter, but the Medicine Manor could not do anything about it. The pill competition itself was a life and death agreement. This was a pill master's dignity and rules. The Heavenly Star Medicine Manor itself wanted to uphold this rule. In addition, Li Zongjiu's performance was indeed shocking. He had directly refined a middle grade 5 medicinal pill, which was even more shocking. It was precisely because of this talent that the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor did not execute Li Zongjiu right away. Even the experts on the alchemist list had not been able to break through the realm of level 5 alchemist. However, Li Zongjiu had directly refined a level 5 middle-level medicinal pill, which made people deeply aware of the power of Li Zongjiu. After that first year made a ruckus, he felt that the atmosphere around him was a little strange. Logically speaking, someone should have come up to support him. However, half a day had passed and there was not even a single person who agreed with him. He looked at the people around him and saw that they were all quietly retreating. It was as if they wanted to put some distance between them and this new student. They were purposely distancing themselves from him. What's going on? What's going on? Why are all of you leaving? The new student was a little shocked. Didn't they say that they would be companions for life? What was the meaning of retreating at this time? Li Zongjiu had originally thought that he would have to make a move to teach these people a lesson. However, from the looks of it now, there was no need for that. These people had very consciously retreated to the side. Even the new student looked around him. Then, he walked to the side as if nothing had happened. It must be said that this scene was extremely awkward. This group of people would naturally dare to block anyone who came. Even Murong Jian from back then would have found it difficult to enter. Back then, Murong Jian was probably not as arrogant as these people in front of him. However, when they recognized Li Zongjiu, they directly chose to retreat. It was impossible for anyone to have such dignity because these people knew that even if Senior Guosi came, he probably wouldn't be able to handle Li Zongjiu. He might seem young, but in this Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, he was already strong enough to sweep through everyone. Last time, Senior Guosi originally wanted to hold a lecture, but he suddenly announced that he wasn't feeling well and abruptly cancelled the lecture. Later on, someone said that Senior Guosi was beaten up by someone and was hospitalized in the medical hall. There was only one person who would do it. After all, no one would dare to go forward and claim that they were the culprits. Only Li Zongjiu would dare to do it. Among the freshmen, Li Zongjiu was the one who swallowed dragons and tigers. In the face of such a notorious person, what else could these people do? Naturally, they chose to obediently step aside. Li Zongjiu did not make things difficult for these people. Since they knew what was good for them, then he would consider them tactful. After entering the heavenly flame house, Li Zongjiu took a bunch of keys and entered the secret room. The elixirs in his hand were all prepared to refine a certain elixir. This elixir was called the Heavenly Restoration Elixir. Among all the elixirs, the Heavenly Restoration Elixir's effect was considered unique because it was only effective against people with the withered meridians disease. In fact, the withered meridians disease wasn't really an incurable disease. It was just that the meridians were difficult to connect and form a complete closure with each other, resulting in a large amount of life force being lost. However, in reality, if all of this energy could be gathered, it would erupt like a geyser. After consuming the Heavenly Restoration Elixir, it was equivalent to recondensing all of Shi Shu's meridians. In such a state, the withered meridians disease could be resolved. Moreover, Shi Shu's strength would also erupt like a geyser. The reason why he helped Shi Shu was naturally because Li Zongjiu also needed to recruit some people. In his previous life, Shi Shu died not long after. In other words, Shi Shu didn't exist in the future. How Shi Shu's fate would develop was naturally unknown. Only such a person would be able to use him again. Perhaps it would be possible to do so without too much of an impact on the future. There wouldn't be any unnecessary danger either. Moreover, he was able to reach this stage with his own strength. It was also clear how strong Shi Shu's willpower was. Those who were able to reach this stage were also people with tenacious willpower. Once he was given a favor, he would be unswervingly loyal. This was because his life this time was also bestowed by Li Zongjiu. For various reasons, Li Zongjiu would also take action. Azura Cauldron. Chapter 468. The Azura Cauldron emitted a rich medicinal fragrance. The Heavenly Restoration Pill was only a grade 4 pill, but this pill formula was extremely strange. It was difficult for ordinary people to study it, and it also required time to match it. Therefore, if Shi Shu could live for 50 years, when this pill formula was released, he would be able to refine such a pill to cure this incurable disease. Shi Shu had been waiting outside the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor for a long time. 10 billion purple yuan, he had already gathered all of it. However, when Shi Shu came to look for Li Zongjiu, he asked the reception room at the door to pass on a message. He was told that Li Zongjiu was cultivating, and it was difficult to know when he would come out. Shi Shu had no choice but to wait outside. This wait lasted until night fell. Could it be that he has no way to cure me, and is only here to see me being played? Shi Shu suddenly thought of this. When a person sat down alone, it was inevitable that they would have such thoughts, let alone in such a situation. Nervousness had always lingered in their hearts. Shi Shu was also thinking about this. An extremely anxious feeling spread in his heart. Qi Yanran. Just as Shi Shu was feeling nervous, he saw a familiar figure walk out from where he was sitting. Shi Shu was sitting in a tea house opposite the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor. He could not just squat at the entrance of the Heavenly Day Medicine Manor. Qi Yanran also saw Shi Shu. Shi Shu nodded slightly to Qi Yanran, and Qi Yanran nodded in response. Qi Yanran admired the Shi tree. Only the Shi tree could survive until now with its perseverance and talent. With such a character, it must have forged a steel-like will. If this stone tree could continue to live, its future achievements would definitely be limitless. Unfortunately, it was temporarily restrained by the current situation. Whether it could survive or not was still unknown. The two of them sat in the tea house until late at night. The other customers had all left. Shi Shu went to ask several times, but was still told that they were cultivating. "Miss, we're closing," the shopkeeper walked up to Qi Yanran and said apologetically. However, Qi Yanran gave him a bank note worth 100,000 gold coins. Bring the tea. Okay, okay. The originally sleepy shopkeeper's eyes immediately widened to the size of copper bells. His entire body was instantly wide awake. Just this 100,000 gold coins was already equivalent to the profits of this small tea house for nearly half a month. Now that they had met a big shot, how could they not be happy? Until the bright moon appeared in the sky. The pedestrians on the road had also disappeared. Only a few people who had been drinking all night were still swaying on the road. Finally, when Shu could no longer sit still, a figure appeared in front of the tea house. The shopkeeper of the tea house was already sleeping soundly on the counter. Obviously, money was not so easy to earn. Usually, he would be sleeping at this time, but now, he had to forcefully keep his eyes open and watch over the tea house. Shua! Shu immediately stood up. At this moment, he did not know what to say. Li Zongjiu walked in and saw Shu. In the blink of an eye, he saw Qi Yanran sitting in the corner. After a slight smile, he walked towards Shu. Have you collected the money? Li Zongjiu said. Only then did Shu come to his senses. Even though he had cultivated bitterly for so many years and had an incomparably firm mind, he still couldn't help but panic in front of Li Zongjiu. He hurriedly took out the 10 billion purple yuan that he had painstakingly gathered from his pocket. All of them were placed in a sandalwood box. It's all here. Not a single cent is missing. Shu said. Li Zongjiu directly put away the box without counting. He did not even care about what was inside. Then, he handed over a porcelain bottle in his hand. Inside this bottle is called the Repairing Heavenly Pill. After you consume it, it will definitely allow your withered veins to once again revive. However, you must remember that after consuming this medicinal pill, the qi that you have accumulated from your previous training will instantly strengthen your body. If you can't handle it alone, you'd better find another person to protect you. Otherwise, even if the problem of your meridians is healed, your body will explode from the huge amount of yuan power. Li Zongjiu said. This pill, can it really cure my withered meridians? Thinking of this, he could not help but feel a little nervous. Even Shu was extremely shocked. It should be known that this illness could be said to have brought him endless troubles. In this long struggle of life, there were many times when he wanted to directly end his life, but he bitterly persevered. This perseverance lasted for more than 10 years. More than 10 years of boredom was not something that anyone could endure. Now, the solution to his withered meridians was right in front of him. It was no wonder that Shu was so excited. Not only that, your cultivation will also increase greatly because of this. Li Zongjiu said faintly. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Shu finally pulled himself together. Shu will always remember the kindness of saving my life. If you have any errands in the future, I will not hesitate to sacrifice myself. Shu said firmly to Li Zongjiu. It's good that you remember. I will look for you in the future. Li Zongjiu said. Li Zongjiu had saved someone's life. This was not something that could be settled with money. If one did not know how to repay kindness, then Li Zongjiu would not care about the other party. He could even take back the life that he had saved at any time. Miss Qi, I have been waiting for you for a long time. In that case, I will take my leave first. Shu said. Now that he had obtained this miraculous heavenly pill, Shu could not wait to rush back to his mansion and cultivate in seclusion. At this moment, he did not care whether he could improve his cultivation or not. As long as he could keep his life, there would be plenty of opportunities to cultivate in the future. As long as he was alive, everything was possible. Shu hurriedly left. Li Zongjiu also walked towards Qi Yanran. Did you bring the money? Qi Yanran said the same thing to Shu. Obviously, she was angry with Li Zongjiu. It was Li Zongjiu's fault for trapping her in the auction house yesterday. If you don't have it, then next time, Li Zongjiu said and turned to leave. You, the money is here. Give me the pill. Chapter 469. Qi Yanran placed a big bag of purple yuan diamonds on the table. A purple yuan diamond was equivalent to 10,000 purple yuan coins. That is, there must be 10,000 purple yuan diamonds in the bag. Purple yuan diamonds were a hard currency in any place and could be exchanged for equivalent value. Sometimes, the value would be much higher. Therefore, relatively speaking, the value of purple yuan diamonds must be higher. If there was money, Li Zongjiu would naturally put it away. Just tonight, he easily earned 20 billion purple yuan coins. But in fact, in Li Zongjiu's view, it was really difficult to earn money now. He even went out personally to collect money from these little brats. It was already the middle of the night. Li Zongjiu worked so hard just for this stinky money. There was really no other way. After all, it was not easy to survive in this world. If Qi Yanran or anyone else knew what Li Zongjiu was thinking now, they would definitely rush up and cut Li Zongjiu into pieces. This was 10 billion purple yuan coins. 10 billion purple yuan coins, if converted into gold yuan coins, it was equivalent to an unknown amount of money. It was obviously just a fourth-grade pill, but you sold it to that fool for 10 billion purple yuan coins. Qi Yanran could naturally see the grade of the heavenly pill. But Qi Yanran could not sense the effect of the heavenly pill. In this regard, Qi Yanran was also very curious about what the heavenly pill Li Zongjiu was talking about was. After all, in front of outsiders, she did not expose Li Zongjiu. If Li Zongjiu wanted to fool her by relying on her trust in him, Qi Yanran would not let him off. Qi Yanran would definitely not let Li Zongjiu go. Who told you that your illness can be cured with a pill? Come with me. Li Zongjiu said lightly. He put away the money directly, then turned and walked out. All right, let's see what kind of tricks you have up your sleeve. Qi Yanran also got up and followed him out. She wanted to see what Li Zongjiu could do. If it was any other place, Qi Yanran might have some misgivings. However, this was the Sacred Flame Royal City. She only needed to wave her hand and a large number of special envoys would come. There was almost no need to worry about public security. In addition, the Qi family was not weak. Naturally, Yuan King level elites could be summoned at any time. With such strength, there was naturally nothing for Li Zongjiu to be afraid of. Immediately, the two of them walked out. Li Zongjiu took Qi Yanran back to his manor. Qi Yanran had seen Li Zongjiu's manor in the intelligence. It was not a good place. With Li Zongjiu's income tonight, as long as it was not in some special places, he could directly buy several big houses. Now, when she walked in, the manor that Li Zongjiu lived in could be described as extremely simple and lifeless. It was as if no one had lived in this manor before. The weeds in the surrounding corners were almost taller than a person. There are two ways to get rid of the blood poison in your body. One is to change your blood, and the other is to enter my Azura cauldron. With that, Li Zongjiu placed the Azura cauldron in the garden. The surroundings were empty. What did Li Zongjiu mean? Did he want her to enter his immortal cauldron? What do you mean? Although Qi Yanran had some understanding, she still could not believe that there was such a treatment method. It was simply unprecedented and unheard of. Don't be too funny. You are square. With my control, I can guarantee that you will be fine. However, you'd better wear some ordinary clothes when you enter, because your clothes will be burned away in a while. After Li Zongjiu finished speaking, he directly sat down cross-legged. You choose whether you want me to do it or not. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Qi Yanran's eyes widened. What do you mean? You want me to jump into the cauldron? You also want to burn my clothes? Li Zongjiu, you. Are you deliberately making fun of me? Qi Yanran was ashamed and angry. When they made a deal with each other, it was all about trust. However, you actually used such a method to humiliate Qi Yanran. She was a dignified maiden, but now she had to obediently let her clothes be burned away in front of you? Making fun of you? I don't have time for that. I still have a lot of things to do. Are you going to treat this illness or not? Li Zongjiu also said very frankly. At the same time, looking at Qi Yanran's embarrassed face, Li Zongjiu was also very happy in his heart. The essence of evil lord was gradually spreading. Teasing a little girl was not a difficult thing for the dignified evil lord. Now, Qi Yanran had only one choice. Otherwise, the power of the longevity tree original spirit would gradually wither. Qi Yanran could also feel that the longevity tree was about to die. Li Zongjiu did not deceive Qi Yanran about this treatment method. Only by taking off the clothes could all the toxins be expelled, and the efficiency would be higher. This kind of stripping treatment was also something that could not be helped. If Li Zongjiu possessed the essence force cultivation of a primitive sovereign, he would be able to heal from a distance. But now, there was no other way. Qi Yanran was angered by Li Zongjiu's attitude. Who knew if he was a hooligan or not? This was such a big matter, couldn't he be more sincere? She clenched her fists tightly, wishing that she could punch Li Zongjiu to death right now. Li Zongjiu looked like a righteous man, but who would have thought that his heart was so filthy and despicable? Unsightly. But on second thought, if Li Zongjiu was really a hooligan, he would have done some hooligan things in front of the medicinal spring that day. In that case, Li Zongjiu would definitely not have lived until now. He would have been killed by Qi Yanran using various means. The situation was different from the Yi family. The people of the Yi family did not figure out the situation even when they died. After all, Li Zongjiu's appearance was too fast and direct, and he killed them directly. If the Yi family was ready and had made their goal clear, Li Zongjiu would not be able to move an inch. Even in Monarch City, there would be a real bloodbath. Of course, in the end, the Yi clan would be the one to lose. If Qi Yanran took action, the end would not be good. Qi Yanran put a big bag of purple yuan diamonds on the table. A purple yuan diamond was equivalent to 10,000 purple yuan coins. That was, he had to have 10,000 purple yuan diamonds in his hand. Purple yuan diamonds were considered a hard currency no matter where he went, and could be exchanged for an equivalent value. Sometimes, the value of the purple yuan diamonds would be much higher. Therefore, relatively speaking, the value of purple yuan diamonds must be higher. If there was money to collect, Li Zongjiu would naturally put it away. Just tonight, he easily earned 20 billion purple yuan coins. But in fact, in Li Zongjiu's view, it was too difficult to earn money now. He even went out personally to collect money from these little brats. It was already the middle of the night. Li Zongjiu worked so hard just for this stinky money. There was really no other way. After all, it was not easy to survive in this world. If Qi Yanran or anyone else knew what Li Zongjiu was thinking now, they would definitely rush up and cut Li Zongjiu into pieces. This was 10 billion purple yuan coins. 10 billion purple yuan coins, if converted into gold yuan coins, it was equivalent to an unknown amount of money. It was obviously just a fourth-grade pill, but you sold it to that fool for 10 billion purple yuan coins. Qi Yanran could naturally see the grade of the heavenly pill. However, Qi Yanran could not sense the effect of the heavenly pill. Regarding this, Qi Yanran was also very curious about what the heavenly pill Li Zongjiu was talking about was. After all, in front of outsiders, she did not expose Li Zongjiu. If Li Zongjiu wanted to fool her by relying on her trust in him, Qi Yanran would not let him off. Qi Yanran would definitely not let Li Zongjiu go. Who told you that your illness can be cured with a pill? Come with me. Li Zongjiu said lightly. He directly put away the money, then turned and walked out. Well, I'll see what tricks you have up your sleeve. Qi Yanran also got up and followed him out. She wanted to see what tricks Li Zongjiu had up his sleeves. If it was any other place, Qi Yanran might have some misgivings. However, this was the Sacred Flame Royal City. He only needed to wave his hand and a large number of special envoys would come. There was almost no need to worry about public security. In addition, the Qi family was not weak. They could naturally summon Yuan King-level powerhouses at any time. With such strength, there was naturally nothing for Li Zongjiu to be afraid of. Immediately, the two of them walked out. Li Zongjiu brought Qi Yanran back to his manor. Qi Yanran had seen Li Zongjiu's manor in the intelligence reports. It was not a good place. Based on Li Zongjiu's income tonight, as long as it was not in some specific places, it was enough to buy a few big mansions. Now, when she walked in, the manor that Li Zongjiu lived in could be described as extremely simple and lifeless. It was as if no one had lived in this manor before. The weeds in the surrounding corners were almost taller than a person. There are two ways to get rid of the blood poison in your body. One is to change your blood, and the other is to enter my Azura cauldron. With that, Li Zongjiu placed the Azura cauldron in the garden. Chapter 470. This chick's temper is not small. Li Zongjiu could not help but smile. Qi Yanran was so decisive. Li Zongjiu liked this kind of character. At least she was not shy. But your temper is not much use in front of me. You still have to come in obediently. Teasing was teasing, but he still had to do business. He could not ruin his reputation at will. Li Zongjiu still had to do a good job. His reputation was the most important. The obsidian fire flickered slightly. Qi Yanran's behavior was extremely bold. Once one entered the alchemist's alchemy furnace, it was as good as handing one's life over to the alchemist. Inside the alchemy furnace, there was no chance to escape at all. Qi Yanran did not know why she was so bold. If Li Zongjiu was actually a big liar, then she would lose both her life and her money. But as a woman, Qi Yanran's intuition was also very accurate. So at this time, when facing Li Zongjiu, she also inexplicably trusted him. Just like yesterday in the Cool Breeze gang. The reason why Li Zongjiu trapped her was not to prevent her from interfering with his work, but to protect Qi Yanran. As long as Qi Yanran did not come out of the Cool Breeze gang, those people would not do anything to her. This was a rude way to protect Qi Yanran. Qi Yanran thought of this after she calmed down. Li Zongjiu did not care about other people's feelings at all. It seemed that he was the only dominant will between heaven and earth. Such a strong man. Qi Yanran also had an indescribable feeling in her heart. Just as Qi Yanran was thinking about it, the surrounding temperature suddenly rose. Qi Yanran also subconsciously wanted to use her cultivation to defend. But at this most critical moment, she held back. In fact, even if she used her cultivation to defend, it would be useless. The flames that rose from the surroundings instantly poured into Qi Yanran's body. Boom! Qi Yanran's eyes were filled with shock. Soon after, the clothes on his body also rose into the air like ashes and were completely burned away. Her spotlessly white skin was immediately exposed. However, the power was still under control. His clothes, headwear, jewelry, rings, and even his shoes were not damaged in the slightest. What astonishing control of power! Qi Yanran's heart was suddenly surprised. No wonder Li Zongjiu was able to defeat her in alchemy. Even though her longevity tree was full of energy that day and there was nothing wrong with it, she still couldn't beat Li Zongjiu. They looked the same on the outside, and it was hard to tell anything apart from each other. However, when you walked in, it was different. He could clearly feel the power within it, and the control was exquisite beyond compare. In Qi Yanran's opinion, Li Zongjiu's strength was too strong. Boom! Qi Yanran felt the skin on her body become lighter and immediately exclaimed. At this moment, she only had a thin undergarment on her body. There were only a few places that could be covered by the underwear, only a few key parts of the body. Qi Yanran, who was so holy and pure, was dressed like this in front of a man today, although there was a cauldron between them. Speaking of the ambiguous relationship between her and Li Zongjiu, it was not only today. Last time in the medicinal spring, it was even worse. It was all because of Li Zongjiu. She, the dignified young lady of the Qi family, almost had no dignity in front of Li Zongjiu. Her back was already white, and she could even feel her ears and cheeks were already slightly red. Such an exciting scene made Qi Yanran even more ashamed and resentful. But fortunately, this last piece of clothing was not burned by Li Zongjiu, which was a little respect for her and gave her the last bit of dignity. If even this last piece of clothing was burned directly, it was estimated that after Qi Yanran recovered, she would probably consider whether to kill Li Zongjiu to silence him. Although Li Zongjiu's treatment method was a bit strange and special, the effect was obvious. All the flames poured into the veins of Qi Yanran's body, and the power kept pouring in. Immediately, she could feel the vitality in her body. The somewhat withered longevity tree in her body gradually recovered, and she could clearly feel that her strength was gradually recovering. Sure enough, he has some skills. To be able to use the effect of the flames to control the power, and at the same time to remove the blood poison in the body one by one, this was no doubt a huge project. For the caster, this would definitely be a huge project. Boom! During this process, Qi Yanran clearly felt that her power was constantly increasing. Under such circumstances, Qi Yanran was immediately shocked. Wait, what's going on? My longevity tree. The longevity tree in Qi Yanran's body seemed to be attracted at this moment. Because of the existence of power, the longevity tree was able to grow continuously. Qiu Yanran could not believe that such a situation would occur. This was because the longevity tree itself was like a meta beast, and in fact, it also had a grade. For example, before this, the grade of Qi Yanran's longevity tree was 800 years old according to the age of the medicinal herbs. If enough energy could be replenished, the longevity tree could directly break through in the process, reach the age of 1,000 years, and directly become the longevity tree king. For Qi Yanran, it would take a long time to advance to the longevity tree king. It would be difficult to succeed in less than 10 or 20 years. After all, Qi Yanran's father, Qi Shaohun, had only advanced the cultivation of the longevity tree to the longevity tree king at the age of 45. And with Li Zongjiu assisting in the treatment, why did his primordial spirit advance? In the blink of an eye, the age of the longevity tree had increased by 100 years. A 900-year-old longevity tree. It only needed one more step to become a real longevity tree king. At that time, the power that Qi Yanran's longevity tree could exert would be even more powerful than Qi Xiaohuan's. If it could become a 10,000-year-old longevity tree, it would not be strange for it to lead the Qi family to its former peak. Chapter 471. I didn't expect the power of the White Dragon original spirit to have such an effect. Li Zongjiu was also surprised. In order to be more focused and better grasp the situation, Li Zongjiu also directly released the White Dragon original spirit, and even the vast flying knife also assisted with the power. It wasn't easy to earn 10 billion. Li Zongjiu had done his best and put in a lot of effort to stabilize the situation in front of him. During the treatment process, Li Zongjiu's White Dragon original spirit amplified his mental strength to assist him, but at the same time, it also affected the growth of the longevity tree, and also absorbed a certain amount of energy from the longevity tree. It was almost a perfect win-win situation. Just take it as a free gift. This time, it's a big loss. Li Zongjiu also shook his head helplessly. This was indeed a big loss. Just the quality of the original spirit was like directly raising the strength of a rank 3 meta beast in your body to a rank 4 meta beast. The benefits that could be experienced were simply unimaginable to ordinary people. Even your fate would be changed because of this change. This was the most amazing thing. Li Zongjiu also did not expect that his white dragon original spirit would have such an effect. Now that he had received the money, it was not good to ask for more money. After all, his reputation was still here. It was time to consider the issue of price in the future. The treatment continued until dawn was about to break. At this moment, it was the darkest moment before dawn, and the surroundings were dark. Li Zongjiu's own yuan power had been consumed for such a long time, and his body was also a little weak. Okay, get ready to come out. When Li Zongjiu's voice fell, he raised his hand and slapped the Azura cauldron. He did not give the other party a chance and directly slapped Qi Yanran out of the cauldron. Qi Yanran exclaimed. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and directly put on a long robe. However, because she was in a hurry, one could still see the faintly discernible long white legs swaying. Even though it was just before dawn, it was still blindingly white. Who? Li Zongjiu also breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Seeing that Qi Yanran still seemed to want more, it could be said that Qi Yanran had made a big profit this time. Not only that, but the blood poison in his body had also been completely removed. Furthermore, the power of this primordial spirit was also constantly breaking through. Right now, it directly possessed 990 years of age. He was only 1 year away from becoming a longevity tree king. Qi Yanran could also feel that Li Zongjiu had deliberately left the last year for her. Only through her own comprehension could she truly break through and truly possess her own strength. She did not expect Li Zongjiu to be so thoughtful, and she could not help but feel slightly touched. Although Li Zongjiu looked like a bastard on the surface, he was actually a good person. Even in such a wild side, he still had such a meticulous side. Your treatment has ended. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. After today, he would go into seclusion to challenge the Genius Tower. Only the first person to rush into the Genius Tower would be able to obtain the Universe 9 revolving needle. In the Genius Tower, some people could keep the things they obtained after clearing the trial. It was also a kind of benefit. Every time a difficult problem was solved in the Genius Tower, some new notes would appear. If the people who entered the Genius Tower later on were to carefully comprehend, they would be able to feel the cultivation path within. This level of comprehension required a sufficient level of cultivation to accept it. Now that Li Zongjiu's cultivation had already reached the peak of the Yuan Ancestor realm, he was just one step away from the Yuan Monarch realm. Almost no one in the city could stop him. Without any other troubles, Li Zongjiu also had to fulfill his promise to Nansheng. Thank you. I hope you can keep today's matter a secret. Qi Yanran said. The matter that Qi Yanran was talking about was naturally not something like the treatment, but something about the longevity tree primordial spirit. After all, for Qi Yanran, this would be a very important hidden strength. If any of her trump cards were revealed to others, then others would make targeted actions. Therefore, Qi Yanran also hoped that Li Zongjiu would keep it a secret. It's just a small matter. Li Zongjiu waved his hand and said. After a night of hard work, he could finally have a good rest. In addition, I know that you have a grudge against Qing Yuan Manor. If you need anything in the future, you can come and find me at any time. This butterfly bookmark is my personal item. With this item, you can enter and leave the Qi family's territory as you wish. The Qi family will naturally know what is going on when they see this item. Qi Yanran said. Then, she threw the butterfly bookmark in her hand to Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu naturally reached out and caught the exquisite butterfly bookmark in his hand. Oh right, let me ask you something. Are there any meta beasts in your manor? Qi Yanran asked. Li Zongjiu was looking at the bookmark in his hand. Yuan beasts in captivity. Was this referring to the Howling Moon Wolf King? Before Li Zongjiu could answer, he saw two figures leap into the wall. Plop! A woo! The Howling Moon Wolf King's body landed on the ground. When it saw Li Zongjiu in the courtyard, it howled happily. Yinghu also landed on the ground with an item in his hand. he happened to see Li Zongjiu in front of him. Immediately, he threw the item in his hand onto the ground in an extremely pleased manner. Hee, young Master Li, I have completed the task you asked me to do. The head of the Green Dragon Gang's leader is in this cloth bag. Yinghu was extremely proud of the battle tonight. The cooperation between him and the Howling Moon Wolf King was really amazing. It was almost effortless for them to take the head of the Green Dragon Gang's leader. Li Zongjiu glanced at Yinghu and the Howling Moon Wolf King. In the blink of an eye, Yinghu saw that there were other people in the courtyard. Immediately, he broke out in a cold sweat and quickly covered his face. If he was discovered, his reputation would be ruined. If that was the case, wouldn't his reputation as Shadow Fox be ruined? If the people outside knew that he, Shadow Fox, had killed the leader of the Azure Dragon Gang, who knew how many ruthless people would come knocking on his door? At the moment, Yinghu did not want to become famous so early. It was better to keep a low profile. Young Master Li, even if you are looking for a girl, you should at least say something. When Yinghu saw that Qi Yanran's clothes were untidy and she had just put on her clothes in a hurry, he immediately realized what had happened and blurted out. Chapter 472. Qi Yanran had already checked the surrounding situation and did not find any meta beasts. However, in the next second, she saw a man and a wolf climbing over the wall. She saw a head rolling on the ground. Qi Yanran was shocked. The head of the Azure Dragon Gang's leader. The leader of the Azure Dragon Gang hid very well. If they wanted to deal with the Azure Dragon Gang, they would be greatly affected in the future. The Azure Dragon Gang occupied the entire underground forces. Among the underground forces, the Azure Dragon Gang was almost the most ruthless one. Therefore, very few people dared to provoke them. Even the relationship between the Yi family and the Azure Dragon Gang was only a cooperative one. They didn't dare to directly take over the Azure Dragon Gang as their own. But now, it seemed like someone had already chosen to do so. It was incomparably decisive and efficient. Most importantly, Qi Yanran now knew that there was indeed a powerful meta beast in Li Zongjiu's mansion. With just a glance, Qi Yanran knew that the meta beast's strength was extraordinary. This was because of the ability given by her longevity tree original spirit. She could see the essence of some creatures and even feel the good and evil of the other party. Of course, this was only a relative ability. For a temperamental and changeable person like Li Zongjiu, there was naturally no way. Everything was according to his will. The man in front of her looked like a killer, but he only had fear for Li Zongjiu and did not have any respect for him. This meant that he was forced to do this for Li Zongjiu. This made things much more interesting. Therefore, Qi Yanran was also thinking about the relationship between the two. In addition, there was the existence of the Howling Moon Wolf King. However, when she heard Yinghu's words, a cold killing intent suddenly appeared in Qi Yanran's eyes. She did not know this person, but he dared to speak rudely. Qi Yanran must kill the person in front of her and make him pay the price. This nonsense was going to cost him his life. You're courting death. With a wave of Qi Yanran's hand, the Yuanli in the air instantly turned into a rattan. With the sound of a strong wind, the rattan flew towards Yinghu's face. In front of Li Zongjiu, perhaps she would reveal some of her feminine side. Sometimes, they would not be calculative with each other because this was a matter between a man and a woman. However, in front of outsiders, this arrogant young lady of the Qi family would not allow anyone to look down on her or treat her with disdain. The speed of this vine was too fast. Shadow Fox didn't even have time to react, and his body only had time to dodge out of reflex. Paw! When the whip came down, it left a bloody mark on Yinghu's body. It was full of strength. Then, another vine suddenly appeared, giving the Shadow Fox no place to hide. It was immediately trapped. They were tightly bound from head to toe, and there were even sharp thorns on the vines. If they didn't struggle, they wouldn't hurt them at all. However, if they didn't listen to them and struggled, they would definitely cut their heads until they bled. Taking advantage of this gap, Qi Yanran had already put on her clothes and tidied them up neatly. Now, Yinghu knew that he seemed to have offended someone very powerful. At this moment, a ray of light appeared in the sky. It was dawn. Yinghu, who was tied to the ground, finally saw clearly who the person in front of him was. Damn it, it's the young lady of the Qi family. Damn it, I'm going to die. In Yinghu's heart, he even wanted to die. How could this happen? In the end, he still fell into Qi Yanran's hands. What did he say just now? He actually said that the young lady of the Qi family was a prostitute. It was no wonder that Qi Yanran was so angry. This had already angered Qi Yanran. Even if she killed him, it wouldn't be too much. What Yinghu didn't expect was that Qi Yanran's strength was so strong that even with his level, there was no way for him to escape. He could only be trapped here. Immediately, Yinghu hurriedly called Li Zongjiu for help. Yinghu's reaction was really fast. If he begged Qi Yanran for mercy, it would be useless. Instead, it would make Qi Yanran want to kill him faster. It would only enrage the person in front of him. However, since she was in Li Zongjiu's courtyard, there must be a relationship between them. As for what kind of relationship it was, it could be roughly guessed by looking at Qi Yanran's clothes. Therefore, if Li Zongjiu asked for mercy, it would be 10,000 times better than him begging for mercy. Young Master Li, Lord Li, Uncle Li, please help me beg for mercy. I really didn't do it on purpose. I was as blind as a bat, Yinghu sobbed. Li Zongjiu acted as if he didn't hear him. He closed his eyes and meditated. The Howling Moon Wolf King naturally didn't dare to move without Li Zongjiu's order. Instead, it looked at the scene in front of it very obediently. Qi Yanran didn't kill him, but every time the whip fell on his body, the pain was magnified 100 times. Crack. In the end, Yinghu couldn't stand it anymore. It was better to rely on oneself than to beg others. Naturally, he thought of a way to escape. It wasn't easy for him to perform the cicada shedding carapace. His body came out of the rattan, and then he directly rushed into the distance. In fact, after performing this move, the consumption of his body was so great that it was difficult for him to bear. Want to run? Qi Yanran didn't say anything. She once again threw a long wooden whip at Yinghu. However, this time it was only a doppelganger. It directly blasted the doppelganger into pieces. Yinghu had already rushed in another direction. However, as soon as it climbed over the wall, it was immediately entangled by a large tree outside the wall. The tree branches seemed to have grown eyes, and they also seemed to be extremely agile arms. In an instant, they bound the shadow fox. Is he one of your men? Qi Yanran asked Li Zongjiu. She seemed to be prepared to give face to Li Zongjiu. In front of Qi Yanran, Yinghu had almost no power to fight back. If he was one of Li Zongjiu's men, she was more or less prepared to give face. However, Li Zongjiu also shook his head very decisively. Don't, my lord. You forgot that I am your loyal servant, my lord. My lord. Have you forgotten? Oh, I have already pledged my loyalty to you. I am your man when I am alive, and I am your ghost when I am dead. Yinghu hurriedly shouted loudly. He was afraid that Li Zongjiu didn't hear him. Chapter 473. Oh. Li Zongjiu looked at Yinghu. Yinghu seemed to be a little surprised, but his reaction was still very fast. He actually reacted immediately. When Qi Yanran heard this, she waved her hand and threw Yinghu, who was covered in cuts and bruises, to the ground. Yinghu's body rolled a few times on the ground and finally landed in front of Li Zongjiu. Since he's your man, I'll give you face. Otherwise, his head will definitely fall to the ground. Qi Yanran raised her head and looked at the sky. It was already much brighter. Immediately, she flicked her sleeves and turned to leave. At this moment, only Yinghu and Li Zongjiu were left in the courtyard. You better remember what you said just now. Otherwise, I'll have to ask that woman to take care of you. Li Zongjiu looked at Yinghu in front of him and said with a smile that was not a smile. Yinghu was already quite old. However, he felt that he had been tricked by these people in front of him. No matter how he looked at it, it seemed that the young couple in front of him was acting and then setting a trap for him. One was playing the good cop, the other was playing the bad cop. Now that the good cop had left, he was directly thrown to the bad cop. Why were the young people nowadays so insidious? This is the key to the manor. You can use the windows to open the door. This is the key to the manor. You don't have to go through the windows in the future. I'll leave everything in the manor to you. From tomorrow onwards, I'll be going into seclusion in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. If you have any issues, you can deal with them with the Howling Moon Wolf King. The Howling Moon Wolf King will report everything to me. Take care of yourself. In addition, if Tai Feihe from the Great Delight Casino comes looking for you to fight, you must fight. Find some time to send this head to Tai Fei. Li Zongjiu directly threw the manor key to Yinghu. Yinghu was also a little surprised. Wasn't the speed at which he gained their trust a little too fast? He actually handed over the manor to him so quickly. When Yinghu saw Li Zongjiu's manor, he wanted to retire and have a good rest in such a place. Although he didn't get the other half of the commission for killing Li Zongjiu, it was equivalent to owning such a large manor. Wasn't that what he wanted? Find some time to clean up the weeds around there. After Li Zongjiu finished speaking, he left. He had nothing else to say. The red-maned horse at the back of the courtyard was also instructed to take care of it regularly. When necessary, it could be brought out for a walk. These matters were nothing to the shadow fox. As for why Li Zongjiu was so confident in handing over the manor to him, Li Zongjiu didn't mind. Naturally, Shadow Fox knew that the Howling Moon Wolf King before him would not let him go. The Howling Moon Wolf King's intelligence was much higher than he had imagined. Moreover, he seemed to have a way to communicate with the Howling Moon Wolf King directly. If the Howling Moon Wolf King could speak one day, Yinghu didn't find it strange at all. Then, Yinghu took a sickle and began to cut the weeds in the courtyard. I didn't expect that I, the king of assassins, would have to cut the weeds in this small courtyard. However, although his mouth was full of disdain, he was very happy when he was cutting the grass. This was because cutting the grass was much simpler and faster than cutting the head of a person. Although the king of assassins had fallen to such a state. However, the king of assassins seemed to be quite happy. Sure family. When Shi Shu returned home that night, he didn't immediately take the elixir. This was because in such a panicked and tense situation, it would definitely affect his body and even affect the effect of the elixir. As an alchemist, he was naturally aware of the disadvantages of this. Immediately, Shi Shu adjusted his aura to a stable state. When his aura stabilized, he finally took out the Heavenly Restoration Pill. This elixir was worth 10 billion purple yuan. However, 10 billion purple yuan was nothing in Shi Shu's eyes. As long as he could recover, it would be more than 10 billion purple yuan. In the future, there would be hundreds of billions or even trillions of purple yuan. The premise was that his dry veins disease could be cured. Shi Shu didn't even want this elixir to cure his dry veins disease completely. Even if he was given another 10 years, he would be able to solve this problem. However, the problem was that he didn't have that much time left. Shi Shu swallowed the heavenly pill. It was different from the elixirs in the past. In the past, the elixirs would melt in his mouth and directly turn into various kinds of energy and enter his body. However, this time, the elixir was swallowed like a stone. The process of swallowing it was extremely painful. At first, the heavenly pill didn't have any effect. Shi Shu even thought that he had bought a fake elixir. Could it be that Li Zongjiu had cheated him of his money? Just as this thought flashed past Shu's mind, he suddenly felt a twisting pain in his abdomen. It seemed like his heart, organs, and various intestines were rapidly twisting. Under such a crazy twisting situation, Shu felt incomparable pain. He had never felt such pain before. Even his internal organs were about to be completely twisted into paste. He fell to the ground and curled up. Cold sweat flowed down. Oh no, Li Zongjiu wanted to poison me to death. Shu never thought that Li Zongjiu would be so cruel and merciless. He had cheated 10 billion purple yuan from him and was now using such a method to kill him. Shu was filled with regret and anger. The pain lasted for 6 hours. When Shu was on the verge of death, he was left with his last breath. He suddenly realized what was happening in front of him. When he opened his eyes again, he was shocked to find that his strength was much stronger than before. In the past, he always felt weak and powerless, as if there was no way to gather the strength in his body. However, it was different this time. Inside my body, Shu didn't have time to check his body. He immediately felt that in his meridians, it was like a drain that had just been opened. In an instant, a terrifying power surged out from the drain. Boom! Shu only felt that terrifying power surging out of his body. At first, Shu was shocked and didn't understand what was going on. However, he remembered what Li Zongjiu said last night. After swallowing this elixir, it would cause the rapid gathering of strength. Therefore, he needed someone to protect him. Not only could it heal his injuries, but it could also increase his strength. Such an opportunity was extremely rare. Now is not the time to lose. Li Zongjiu, you have given me this opportunity. I, Shu, will repay you 10,000 times. Chapter 474. Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Kun Arashi's whereabouts were a little unusual recently. When Li Zongjiu returned to the academy, he met Shueyue, who was looking for Kun Arashi. Li Zongjiu, have you seen Kun Arashi? That guy has been acting mysteriously recently. Shueyue gritted her teeth fiercely as she spoke. It seemed as though she wanted to drag Lan Kun out and beat him up to vent her anger. I don't know. He should be cultivating with Sun Yu. Li Zongjiu said. Looking at Shueyue's angry look, it seemed like the two of them got along well. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come looking for him across 2 academies. I'm so angry. We agreed to go to the night market to sell things together, but this guy disconnected again. Shueyue waved her hand. Forget it, I'll go by myself. Li Zongjiu, don't forget that I've almost gathered 1 billion purple yuan. Shueyue said seriously. Oh. How much have you gathered? 80 million, good luck. Li Zongjiu said. The 80 million purple yuan was probably obtained from the auction of the sky fragrance Drunken Moon Stone. After deducting the transaction fee, the remaining money. This money was also obtained from Zhao Jingxian. Li Zongjiu walked towards the Genius Tower after he finished speaking. I'll definitely gather it. Shueyue gritted her teeth and said. Although the price of 1 billion purple yuan was very high, Shueyue had to earn it through her own efforts. If she had to ask others for help, it would be meaningless. Moreover, this matter had to be kept absolutely confidential. In front of the Genius Tower, there would also be some elders and students on duty. Other than the senior brothers and sisters of the upper echelons who were doing their best to clear the levels and open up new territory for the students, there were also disciples who were frequently exploring and comprehending between the other levels. The reason why Guosi came out of seclusion last time was because he had passed through the checkpoint at the top of the 7th floor. He had solved the difficult problem within and was even faster than the others. To be able to accomplish such a feat, it was sufficient to show Guosi's strength. Of course, after a few days, there were also people who passed through the 7th level. Right now, the 8th level had already been opened. After wandering around for a few days, Guosi was prepared to return to the 8th level and continue to explore. He had already finished comprehending the questions he had solved the previous time, and now he needed to replenish it. In fact, Guosi's strength was still very strong, but unfortunately, he loved to show off. Unfortunately, he met Li Zongjiu, who didn't fall for this trick. Naturally, he would suffer a big loss. To become a disciple of the Genius Tower, you must first register and pay a fee. Which class are you in? Li Zongjiu came to a small wooden house at the side. There were also some related matters in this wooden house. Some people didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth and thought that they were infallible, especially those who came to the Genius Tower for the first time. They thought that they were great and wanted to directly challenge the checkpoint that no one could pass. However, the consumption of energy was too great, so they would directly fall into the checkpoint and constantly overdraw. If this continued, they would directly overdraw until they fainted. Even if they died, such a thing had happened before. It wasn't a rare thing. Therefore, there were so many rules set up to prevent these people who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth from directly challenging the checkpoint. Heavenly STEM Department A class, first year. Li Zongjiu said. First year. The person in charge raised his head and glanced at Li Zongjiu. A mere first year dared to come to the Genius Tower. His courage wasn't small. However, there were also many people who chose to come and watch. After all, the Genius Tower was their academy's signboard. Since it's your first time here, let's start from the first floor. And, I want to go directly to the 8th floor. Li Zongjiu said. The person in charge was about to take the key and lead Li Zongjiu to the 8th floor. Every time you cleared a level, the key to the next level would automatically appear. With this key, you could open the door to the next level. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any way to open the door. Even if you wanted to take a look, it would be impossible. At the same time, this key would always exist in the vicinity of the Genius Tower. There was no way to steal it. It was as if this key was actually a part of the Genius Pavilion. Such ingenious craftsmanship was truly astonishing. Even Li Zongjiu didn't know how these people did it. Perhaps only after he saw through the mystery of that world would he be able to truly understand and achieve this level. What did you say? Young man, don't bite off more than you can chew. This is the Genius Tower. I will arrange for you to enter the first floor to experience it. The person in charge said and was about to register Li Zongjiu on the first floor. At the same time, he was also preparing to take the key. I said that I want to start from the 8th floor. Don't you understand? Li Zongjiu said indifferently. A majestic aura was also released from his body. When this aura appeared, it immediately made the person in front of him feel an invisible pressure. He had already seen countless geniuses in his job here. Who wasn't respectful in front of him? But this kid called Li Zongjiu in front of him actually had the guts to make a scene in front of him. However, under Li Zongjiu's aura, he always felt like he was being stared at. He couldn't muster up the courage to confront Li Zongjiu. Just looking at Li Zongjiu's eyes was enough to cause one's heart to tremble in fear. Under such a situation, even the person in charge had a face of disbelief. A mere first-year student was actually able to display such an imposing aura. He couldn't believe it. Teacher Kong, if this kid wants to enter the 8th level, then let him experience it. That's good too. The name of the person in charge was Kong Zhua. The Kong family used to be a big family with great influence in the family. Although it declined later on, the temperament of a big shot was preserved. As a descendant of a famous family, Kong Zhua was naturally proud and arrogant. He even thought that these people could be taught at will. Only when he taught these geniuses a lesson would Kong Zhua feel satisfied in his heart. But unfortunately, Li Zongjiu hated it the most when others decided on his matters, especially after he had accurately said it. That meant that he wanted to disobey him. Guosi, do you know this person? Kong Zhua looked at the person who walked in at this time. It was Guosi. Kang Zhuo was very optimistic about Guosi. After all, Guosi was the first to reach the 8th floor in such a short period of time. Now that he was prepared to continue on to the 8th floor after a little rest, he was very gratified. Learning was like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't advance, you will fall behind. Ha, I don't know him. He's just a nobody. Guosi's eyes were filled with arrogance and contempt. Chapter 475. Li Zongjiu also glanced at Guosi. Wasn't the beating last time enough? Li Zongjiu said directly. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Guosi felt his eyelids twitching fiercely a few times. Just because of these few words, Li Zongjiu directly hit him and beat him to such a state. This caused the lecture that day to be directly scrapped, and there was no way to continue at all. This caused Guosi to be extremely furious. In this way, wouldn't many junior brothers and sisters be filled with resentment? What are you doing? Who are you trying to scare? How can you be so rude? Do you think this is a place for hooligans? Kang Zhuo immediately slapped the table and stood up. He angrily scolded Li Zongjiu, as if he was going to teach him a lesson today. However, before he could finish his sentence, Li Zongjiu directly stretched out his hand and grabbed Kang Zhuo from behind the changing table. Bang! Kang Zhuo was directly thrown to the ground. His entire face was filled with confusion. Kang Zhuo was born in a prestigious family. Although it was said to be a declining prestigious family, the pressure was still there. There was actually a student who dared to hit him in his territory. This was simply an unheard of story. Before Kang Zhuo could get up, Li Zongjiu directly grabbed a vase from the counter and directly smashed it on Kang Zhuo's head. Before Kang Zhuo fainted, he also pointed at Li Zongjiu. You! In the end, his neck tilted and he fainted. Li Zongjiu, how dare you! This time, Guosi was not going to let Li Zongjiu go. Today, he would let Li Zongjiu know how powerful he was. Otherwise, did he really think that in this heavenly star medicine manner, he could dominate the world? Immediately, Guosi also activated his Yuan power. A Yuan power sword appeared in his hand and directly pierced towards Li Zongjiu's chest. I've finally found an opportunity. Li Zongjiu had attacked this teacher Kang Zhuo, which in itself was a heinous crime. The nature of his actions was extremely despicable. Now that he had subdued Li Zongjiu, not only would he be able to take revenge, he would also be able to receive the Academy's commendation. He would become an influential figure in the Academy, punishing evil and eliminating evil, and his reputation would rise to another level. Catch your father. When Guosi came in, Li Zongjiu wanted to beat him up. Based on the words of the old man in the library, Li Zongjiu was indeed able to do whatever he wanted in the Heavenly Star Medicine Mansion. Naturally, Li Zongjiu would not let go of this opportunity to deal with these two people who deserved a beating. With a slap, he shattered the Yuan power sword that Guosi had condensed. Then, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the person in front of him. What are you trying to do? Guosi was shocked. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Zongjiu's fist had already landed on the bridge of Guosi's nose. Bang! Guosi's mind was immediately in a daze, and 2 streams of blood gushed out from his nose. The pain directly engulfed Guosi's entire head. Li Zongjiu added another punch, and this punch directly smashed Guosi to the ground. Bang! He lay on the ground, unable to move. The entire thing happened in a matter of seconds, and even the Yuan power fluctuation did not have time to spread out. After that, Li Zongjiu personally took out the key to the 8th floor. After walking out of the cabin, Li Zongjiu was very considerate and closed the door of the cabin. There was no sound from the outside yet, so Li Zongjiu was very considerate. Why are you here by yourself? Where's teacher Kang Zhuo? When the elder in charge of the Genius Tower saw Li Zongjiu come with the key, he could not help but feel puzzled. He's chatting with Guosi. The two of them said that they wanted to have a good discussion, so he gave me the key and told me to come by myself. I see. Go in. The elder on duty said. Kong Zhuo often had students coming to visit him. Sometimes, Kong Zhuo would forcefully pull some students to read some ancient books and stories to them. In fact, he just wanted to make his presence known. Therefore, it was extremely normal. The elder on duty directly let Li Zongjiu in. Li Zongjiu directly went to the 8th floor. The key in his hand opened the door. When Li Zongjiu pushed the door and entered, the door behind him suddenly closed. The key also automatically appeared on the wall outside the door and hung there. The surroundings were empty and pitch black. Only the praying mat on the ground emitted light. This was the inner world of the Genius Tower, and all the mysteries were on the praying mat. When you sit on the praying mat, you will enter the inner world. This world was like a maze. When you walk in, you must constantly move forward against the power from the void. Only in this way could you break through the power inside. When you finally walk out of this maze and wake up after clearing the level, it was considered that you have passed this level. In his previous life, Li Zongjiu also came here. He immediately sat on the glowing praying mat. There was more than one praying mat, but in fact, when you walk in, you will only see one praying mat. If someone else comes in, they will see another praying mat. Li Zongjiu sat on the cattail hassock and immediately felt that his body was sinking rapidly, as if he was being swallowed by a quagmire. However, this sinking feeling did not last for long. Soon, Li Zongjiu opened his eyes. A single plank bridge appeared in front of him. On both sides of the single plank bridge, there was a bottomless abyss. One wrong step and you will be consigned to eternal damnation. After Li Zongjiu observed for a while, he naturally stepped onto the single plank bridge. When Li Zongjiu stepped onto the single plank bridge for the first time, the world around him began to change again. It was as if an incomparably thick black cloud had sunk into Li Zongjiu's body, binding his feet like 10,000 chains. Outside the Genius Tower, Kong Zhuo woke up in the small wooden house. When he discovered what had happened to his body, he immediately flew into a rage. He did not expect that a small student would dare to kill him. No, I must report this to the academy. If he is so vicious and merciless at such a young age, then he will be even worse in the future. I must punish this Li Zongjiu. Looking at Guosi, the expert ranked 3rd on the alchemist ranking, he actually had his nose broken. Even now, he was still unconscious. This was simply shocking. To be able to beat Guosi to such a state, he must have used some kind of despicable, shameless, sinister, and vicious method. Someone come quickly. Someone robbed the Genius Tower. Someone stole the Genius Tower's key. Kong Zhuo immediately roared towards the outside. Kong Zhuo had been working in the academy for dozens of years, but this was the first time he had encountered such a vile situation. Chapter 476. Night fell. 2 figures walked out of Li Zongjiu's manor. A man and a wolf dog. They walked towards the direction of Boyu Casino. At this moment, in Boyu Casino, Taifai was also taking stock of the forces under his command. Today, he had already brought some people out to negotiate. Some of the small casinos that used to belong to the Yi family had been incorporated into the casino. However, these were just small matters that did not amount to much. Of course, the reason why he did this was to appease Li Zongjiu. If Li Zongjiu were to be eliminated one day, wouldn't all these risky moves be more dangerous? It might even speed up his own demise. Now that the situation was uncertain, of course, it was better to be careful. The casino was still operating as usual. At this moment, Taifai was calculating the current situation. He even invited a few of his old friends. Even Xue Jiang was killed. Of course, he had to find some people to hold the fort. At this moment, a person came to report to Taifai that someone wanted to see him. Who is it? Tai-Fai was surprised. Could it be Li Zongjio? But if Li Zongjio came, he would have known. Moreover, if Li Zongjio came, he did not need to report. He could just walk in directly. It's an old man with a pet. Pet? Old man, what the hell? Drive him away. Tai-Fai did not remember seeing such a person. But, he said that he has something to give to the boss. The subordinate said. Tai-Fai was slightly surprised. Something to give to him. Let him in. Although the current situation was complicated and anything could happen, Tai-Fai had a bad feeling. Shadow Fox and Howling Moon Wolf King walked up to the third floor and came to Tai-Fai's office. Tai-Fai first looked at Shadow Fox in front of him. He realized that he did not recognize the Shadow Fox in front of him. In terms of memory, Tai-Fai was quite confident. In this aspect, there would definitely be no problem. Who are you? What do you want to give me? Tai-Fai said. At this moment, there were two Jianghu experts standing behind Tai-Fai. These days, the wind blew the grass and the grass moved in the wind. Therefore, one must be prepared to protect oneself. Both of them stared at Shadow Fox. They completely ignored the Howling Moon Wolf King, who was lying on the ground and gnawing on a drumstick. Shadow Fox did not expect that there would be a day when he, the king of assassins in the dark, would walk out in the open. With the Howling Moon Wolf King by his side, he was filled with confidence wherever he went. With a king-level meta beast by his side, who would dare to provoke such a super fighter? Wherever he went, he was filled with confidence. If it was in front of him, Shadow Fox would have to be sneaky when he went out. He would have to change his appearance continuously. Our young master asked me to give this to you. In order to prevent the blood from flowing everywhere, Shadow Fox found a metal box and placed the head of the Green Dragon Gang's leader in it. Tai-Fai's eyelids twitched when he saw the metal box. Obviously, he had an extremely bad feeling about the appearance of the metal box. Open it. Tai-Fai gestured to the person behind him. This was the most basic rule of the underworld. How could one go forward and open the box? What if some hidden weapon or dart shot out? Wouldn't one be hit? Immediately, one of Tai-Fai's subordinates opened the box. Immediately, a bloody face appeared in front of them. This is... At first, he was furious, but then he was shocked because he recognized who the head belonged to. He hurriedly looked at the old man in shock, then brought the head to Tai-Fai to see. When Tai-Fai saw the head, he immediately stood up from his seat. What? This is... Tai-Fai sucked in a breath of cold air. The head in front of him was extremely familiar. Wasn't this the head of the Green Dragon Gang's leader? He actually took off the head. Who was this old man in front of him? And who was the young master behind him? Sir, may I ask who your young master is? Tai-Fai asked in a deep voice. Yinghu didn't hesitate. My young master is Li Zongjio. When he said this, he immediately saw the fear and reverence in the eyes of Tai-Fai and the others. Yinghu enjoyed this kind of gaze very much. What did he strive for all his life? Wasn't it to be high and mighty and have everyone look up to him? However, Yinghu had been in the underworld for most of his life. Although he had earned the title of King of Assassins, in fact, there were too many King of Assassins. Moreover, some of the rising stars were quite ruthless. In order to gain a position, these people's methods were extremely cruel. Therefore, even if Li Zongjio didn't recruit him, Yinghu wouldn't be able to survive for long. Then, he would have to retire. If he didn't retire, there would definitely be countless people among the younger generation who wanted to kill him. At the same time, some of the enemies he had made in the past would definitely come one after another. However, after submitting to Li Zongjio, with this name, he directly made these people look at him in a new light. They were in awe of him. It was really a case of a fine bird choosing a tree to nest in. This. I didn't expect young Master Li to succeed. Sir, may I ask for your name? It's just a nickname. It's not worth mentioning. My young master said that he's in seclusion. If there's anything, you can find me at the Autumn Water Avenue, White Deer Lane Manor. Inghu also slowly got up. Autumn Water Avenue, White Deer Lane. It was where the manor that Li Zongjiu had purchased was located. This head brought great shock to Taifai. This was the head of the Green Dragon Gang's leader. No wonder these people seemed to have quieted down recently. It was because of such a big thing. This made Taifai somewhat uncertain. Who exactly was Li Zongjiu? He killed the Yi family's leader, and now he killed the Green Dragon Gang's leader. Both the black and white sides were casually beheaded. It was really shocking. With such strength, it was enough to move unhindered in Royal City. Now that both the Yi family and the Green Dragon Gang have suffered heavy losses, and I, Taifai, have the help of this mysterious expert. If he doesn't give me a chance, it won't be strange even if Li Zongjiu gets rid of me. So, this is my chance. Now that the two leaders have been beheaded, it's definitely time to harvest. Taifai also grasped the opportunity. The outside world definitely didn't know about the Green Dragon Gang's leader. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so calm. Now, the Green Dragon Gang must have their own plans. Regarding this, Taifai also made a prompt decision and immediately led a large group of people. Let's go to the Riches Casino. Chapter 477. Shi Family. The head of the Shi family was being impeached by the elder compound. 5 billion purple yuan. The Shi family's quarterly revenue is only 3 billion purple yuan. The head of the family is trying to starve the thousands of people in the Shi family for a full 2 months just to let that person with the dried pulse disease squander the money. The head of the family's actions are really inappropriate. This is an abuse of power. Using the family's assets to protect one person. The elder compound will not tolerate such selfish behavior. The head of the Shi family, Shi Tairan, sat firmly in his seat and did not say anything in response to the accusations of the elders. It seems like someone secretly planned this impeachment meeting. There is no point in saying more. Since all of you have already decided, I will abdicate my position and give it to a worthy person. So what? Shi Tairan said slowly. To Shi Tairan, this was something that he had long expected. It was not because the Shi family could not afford the 5 billion purple yuan, but because Shi Tairan was not the only one who had the final say in the Shi family. If he wanted to use the 5 billion purple yuan, he had to go through various procedures. If he could not come up with a reasonable reason, he would be considered to have exceeded his authority. When Shi Tairan had first moved the 5 billion purple yuan, he had known that this would happen. However, he had not expected this day to come so quickly. The elders were relieved when they heard that Shi Tairan was willing to abdicate his position. Since Shi Tairan has decided to abdicate his position as the head of the family, we will choose a new head based on seniority. Shi Tairan, on account of your previous contributions to the Shi family, we will not punish you for now. Now, leave the meeting hall. The great elder said slowly. No one would be able to salvage the situation today. Although Shi Tairan had abdicated his position, he was still a Yuan monarch elite and the family would not treat him too badly. Shi Tairan clenched his fists tightly. Although he had known that this day would come, it was still a great humiliation to be forcefully expelled from the meeting hall. Some of the elders were even whispering to each other and discussing this matter. They all expressed their pity for Shi Tairan. The reason he had ended up like this was because Shi Tairan's lineage had gone missing and failed to produce a capable son. None of them had the potential to become a Yuan monarch elite. Therefore, he had only chosen to send them on their way. As the head of the family, he had a lot of grievances to deal with. Rest in peace, big brother. Shi Tairan saw a figure stand up from the seat. Shi Chuji. Shi Tairan had never imagined that his own brother would be the one who had added fuel to the fire and ousted him from his position. This matter could be big or small. But there was no other way around it if someone magnified the problem. I'll have to trouble you today. After I become the head of the family, I'll definitely make sure you guys settle down. Shi Chuji said with a smile. If you had listened to my advice and cooperated with Qingyuan manner, you would not have fallen to such a state. Based on my strength alone, I would not have been able to achieve such a state. You! Shi Tairan shouted angrily. He wished he could kill his own brother with one palm. How dare he betray his friend for glory? He betrayed the entire Shi family. Once the Shi family was involved in such a whirlpool, they would be doomed eternally. However, the current situation seemed to have reached a point of no return. Coming out of the conference hall, Shi Tairan's red eyes gradually disappeared. Only then did it gradually fade away. Now that he was no longer the family head, he felt as though a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. He could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Because of what had happened today, Shi Tairan also wanted to see his son, Shi Shu. When Shi Tairan had first found out about Shi Shu's situation, he had been in great pain. Although he had not interacted much with Shi Shu over the years, Shi Tairan had secretly cared for him. Otherwise, how could Shi Shu have so many resources in his hands, allowing him to cultivate to his current level? Even the credit for sealing his vitality back then was due to Shi Tairan's actions. If it wasn't for Shi Tairan, no one would have cared about Shi Shu's life or death. When Shi Tairan arrived at Shi Shu's courtyard, he found that there seemed to be a strange fluctuation lingering in the courtyard. It was extremely tyrannical. Because Shi Shu liked quiet places, his courtyard was located in the most remote corner of the Shi family. It was so far away that it was the wilderness behind the mountain. Shi Tairan was worried that someone had attacked Shi Shu. If that was the case, he would not let these people off. Since they dared to attack his son, they had crossed the bottom line. However, when Shi Tairan rushed into the house, there was only Shi Shu around. Moreover, the strange fluctuation was also released from Shi Shu's body. Shi Tairan's gaze landed on the stone tree. He discovered that the stone tree was releasing an exceptionally terrifying power. Following the appearance of this power, Shi Tairan's eyes were filled with shock. How is this possible? Such a powerful power. At this moment, Shi Shu's body was filled with a power that was comparable to his own. That was the Yuan King realm. However, Shi Shu's power had already exceeded his limit. In his current state, there was no way for him to reorganize this power. This was because he had never possessed such a powerful power and had never reached such a level. Immediately, Shi Tairan sat down and injected a force into the stone tree's body. At the same time, he guided and cleared the energy in the stone tree's body. Otherwise, if the energy accumulated together, it would directly cause the stone tree's body to explode. In the end, his body would explode and he would die. This was why Shi Tairan was so shocked. If he had come a little later, Shi Shu would probably have died. He continued to unblock Shi Shu's body for nearly 10 hours. The terrifying power in Shi Shu's body also shocked Shi Tairan. Where did this power come from? It was actually so powerful. Most importantly, Shi Shu was actually able to cultivate. Originally, Shi Shu's dry meridian disease would limit his vitality. Therefore, Shi Shu's physical strength would only get weaker and weaker. However, it was different now. Shi Shu's body was full of vitality and energy. Could it be that Shi Shu's dry meridian disease? He has been cured. Even Shi Tairan could not help but feel excited. This was extremely exciting news. Shi Tairan simply could not believe it. He recalled that Shi Shu had also borrowed money to treat his illness. Now, it seemed that he was really fated to have picked up a treasure. He withdrew his aura. Shi Shu slowly opened his eyes. He was also aware of his own situation. My illness is cured. Occasionally, they would run into each other when they were in a hurry. It seemed that learning under Sun Yu was a good thing for Kun Erisher. As for Li Zongjio, if the academy hadn't found her, she wouldn't have known that Li Zongjio had already entered the Genius Pavilion. Entering the Genius Pavilion was one thing, but why did he beat up teacher Kong Zhuo for no reason? There was also this Guosi. Previously, they had heard that there seemed to be some friction between the two of them. However, it was normal for there to be some friction between students. She never imagined that such a thing would happen. This caused Ling Yan's head to swell. Teacher Kong, please calm down. When that kid comes out of the Genius Pavilion, I will definitely make him give you an explanation. Ling Yan said. Given their seniority, she had to give Kong Zhuo enough face. She couldn't afford to be careless. Otherwise, the problem would be quite serious. Teacher Ling, this is the disciple that you have handed over. When did my heavenly time medicine manner recruit people based on how sinister and vicious they are? Look, this person is so vicious. Expel him, you must expel him. Otherwise, others will think that our heavenly time medicine manor is a scoundrel camp. The reputation that we have built for 100 years will be destroyed in an instant. Kong Zhuo was filled with grief and indignation. His voice was filled with tears, as if he was touching the heavens and earth. Those who didn't know would think that Kong Zhuo was wronged. However, after listening to Kong Zhuo's words, Ling Yan felt extremely embarrassed. Now, she could only wait for Li Zongjio to come out of the Genius Pavilion. Otherwise, it would be difficult to get through today. If we calculate according to the time, he should have come out of the Genius Pavilion. If an ordinary student is not strong enough to comprehend the Genius Pavilion for 10 hours, they should be expelled quickly. The Genius Pavilion should have the ability to judge. Maybe he couldn't withstand it and died in there. Guosi sneered. Li Zongjio had indeed gone to the 8th floor. The 8th floor was something that Guosi had painstakingly comprehended. This Li Zongjio thought that he was better than him and that he knew some martial arts, so he could enter the Genius Tower. Since he was so confident, then he would make a fool of himself in public. The vastness of the Genius Pavilion was not something that an ordinary person could reach. Send someone up to take a look. The Genius Pavilion has not issued a warning. Even if we go up, we won't be able to bring him out. Kong Zhuo said. In addition to managing the people entering and exiting the Genius Pavilion, he also had another task, which was to study the Genius Pavilion. If the Genius Pavilion judged that the person who challenged the Genius Pavilion was unable to continue, they would directly send the person to the corridor. At that time, they would be able to carry the person down. However, if the person was trapped in the mystery of the Genius Pavilion and couldn't wake up, it would be difficult for the outside world to wake him up. Everything would depend on one's own luck. If the person who challenged the Genius Pavilion had the intention to withdraw and give up, they would be sent out of the Genius Pavilion. It was a place that could continuously train the students and help them to break through. The designer of the Genius Pavilion was simply a genius. It would benefit thousands of future generations. What is the meaning of the red light from the lantern under the eaves? Someone at the side said. This person was from the Academic Affairs Department, not an alchemist. The Genius Pavilion had no interest in this place. It was a place for a group of alchemy madmen to break through. He really didn't know what was so fun about this place. The red light represents a closed state. The Genius Pavilion is an octagonal building, but there are 4 lanterns on each floor. When the floor is unlocked, a lantern will light up. Once a small obstacle is broken, the red light will change to a green light. Look at the 8th floor. It is because of Guosi's breakthrough that the green light lit up. Now, it is already in an unlocked state. Teacher Kong, isn't that the 9th floor? The person from the Academic Affairs Department carefully counted. Indeed, the first red light on the 9th floor had already lit up. Was your mathematics taught by a martial arts teacher? You can't even count clearly, yet you can still join the Academic Affairs Department. Now, you have only unlocked the 8th floor. How can you count to the 9th floor? When Kong Zhuo raised his head to look. The lantern on the 9th floor was as dazzling as the scorching sun. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.